Last words.
All right, everybody, we're live. Can I get everybody stand with me, do the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have a seat. All right, so we're gonna go right into, we got EcoMain coming down. Thank you for coming down to 11 and giving us a presentation. So we're gonna go right into the agenda item, which is listed on for 5:30. And Lisa Bitterman?
Yep, Lissa.
Lisa
Yep.
Bitterman will be giving us a presentation. All you.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me here. What I like to do with presentations is have you just jump in with questions as we go so that you're not thinking of something and then kind of lose track of it. I printed out the presentation for you, so if you want to take notes according to the slides, you're welcome to do that. I also have your 5 select persons, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I have folders for each of you that you can cruise through afterwards. So this is a big presentation. It's got a lot of information in it. I'm gonna skip over some of the parts of it that may be already familiar to you and to your residents, but I wanted to include them in there just in case they were important and you wanted to hear about them. So from what I understand, I'm gonna be giving you some information both about the solid waste processing services that EcoMain offers as well as our recycling services. Is that correct? You're interested in both?
Yep, sounds like what we were told, yep.
All right, very good. So just a quick background on EcoMain. We are a nonprofit quasi-municipal corporation and we accept solid waste, recycling, and food waste from 73 towns and cities in Maine and New Hampshire. You can see on the slide there that we've got pictures of our 3 facilities. At the top is our materials recovery facility. That's basically the industry term for a building that can, in an automated and manual way, separate single sort recycling into all its separate commodities. We refer to it as a MRF, materials recovery facility, so I'll use that going forward. The middle picture is our waste to energy power plant, and the bottom picture is our ash fill, which is where we take the ash that is the byproduct of the combusting the solid waste in the plant. This is a map of our member municipalities. We have 20 towns that actually own EcoMain. They are the little green markers on the map. We have 7 associate member communities. Those are towns that signed 20-year trash and recycling agreements with us in 2007. Those are marked in blue. And then any community that chooses to contract with us for handling either their solid waste or their recycling is considered a contract municipality or contract member, and those are with the yellow arrow. And a lot of this map and some other of the things that will be in the presentation you can find on our website as well if you want to be able to actually see it. EcoMain has basically a mission statement at the heart of how we conduct ourselves. Because we're a nonprofit, we have this mission statement and it really guides us in how we do business, and it's to provide comprehensive long-term solid waste solutions in a safe, environmentally responsible, economically sound manner, and to be a leader in raising public awareness of sustainable waste management strategies. And really at the core of how we go out and educate and how we try to conduct ourselves is the solid waste hierarchy. If you want to think of it really like the food pyramid but turned upside down like a funnel. And it's actually a state statute and recommended by the EPA as the best way to manage solid waste, which is really essentially anything leaving your home or business at the end of the day that you don't want anymore. And their recommendation is to do the most of the top rung of the hierarchy and little or lesser as you get down to the bottom. So we very much kind of tout and try to educate based on reducing first and then reusing and then recycling and composting or anaerobic digestion, basically recovering energy from organic waste, and then waste to energy, and then at the bottom of the waste hierarchy is landfill. So we are going to always recommend that you try to manage the least amount of waste at the lowest rung of the hierarchy, which is landfill. We have 2 voluntary certifications that we are very proud of. One is the ISO 14001 certification, that's for excellence in environmental stewardship. And we also have OSAS 18001, which is for safety. We have these at all 3 of our facilities. We are constantly audit ready for them. They're incredibly vigorous to obtain, and we're one of the only organizations in the state, as far as I'm aware, that have all 3 of these, that have these certifications at all 3 of our facilities. This is going to be a little quick tour of our materials recovery facility. That's the tipping floor. That's where the single sort recycling comes and gets dumped on the floor. This is a flow chart of our facility. And a lot of people often will say, well, you don't really actually recycle everything, do you? I mean, you just, like, you say that you do, but when push comes to shove, you get it out of your plant and you just burn it or you landfill it, right? And this is to show, and this tour is to show that we definitely would not have built and maintain a $4.7 million facility to bring in recycling and then do something else with it. So this is just how it all works. Again, that's the tip floor, and that's the back end of part of the separating systems. Now, I've got videos, and I'm hoping that they're going to work. This is a loader pushing the recyclables up into the beginning of the sorting process. They go onto a conveyor belt right up and over that ridge. And within 3 minutes, each item is separated into its appropriate bin. We process 40,000 tons of single sort recycling a year.
This is right here in Maine?
This is in Portland, yep, right over by the airport. Don't really know why it froze up on me there, but.
Could just ask a question.
Yes.
Must be the sound.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't. I'm not seeing the progress bar on here, so I can't really tell. I don't know. We'll just we'll go to the next one.
Spinning stars.
Yeah, so these are photos of the first 2 systems that we use to separate recyclables. On the left is the first way that we pull material out. It's called a star screen separator. It's basically very large axles with huge rubber stars on them. Everything is spinning. The stars are staggered around. The single sort gets pushed into the system, and the mechanism just kind of grabs it in, and corrugated cardboard, because it's typically large and typically flat, rides up and over the stars and goes down a chute, and then it is effectively separated from the rest of the recyclables. And then in all of those little empty spots, the rest of the materials are meant to fall down through, land on another conveyor belt. They go through a quality control room where we have humans who are pulling out the plastic bags, the trash, the kitty litter, the food, the blankets, the clothing, the stuffed animals, all the crazy things that people try to put in their recycling. And then the material goes off to the second conveyor belt and onto our second star screen separator there on the right-hand side. And it's the same system, it's just everything is smaller and closer together, and that's to separate the paper out. The paper essentially dances up and over the stars, goes down a chute, and it is then on its way to the paper baler. And then at that point, the plastic, glass, and metal cans fall through those openings in between the stars and go onto a conveyor belt for more separation. Let's see if that's marked. So here we're looking at the single sort feeding into the star screen separator. And this is the cardboard going up and over. And you see the smaller items falling through. Not all of them fall through.
96% rate?
What's that?
It's about 96% rate?
Yeah, it's about 90%. Now, part of the issue is that, see that trash bag that went up and over? Anything big, even if it's not supposed to be in there, the machine isn't smart enough to know like, ooh, I gotta hold that trash bag back. You can also see that the tanglers are starting to wrap around the equipment. Tanglers are rope, you saw an American flag there, this is the paper one. So you see all the paper dancing up and over.
How old is this technology or this?
So this facility was built in 2007, and it's been constantly maintained. And actually the baler that we use to bale all the material except for paper is the original baler that we used back in the 70s to bale solid waste before we had the waste energy plant. And then you can see there's the paper on its way to the baler. That's what happens when people recycle plastic bags, hoses, dog leashes, electrical cords, textiles, clothing. And usually 1 to 2 times a day, we have to stop the entire facility and send people in with box cutters to hack away at all of that material. Because once in between the stars gets all filled up with plastic and fabric, then the items that are supposed to fall through can't fall through and they go up and over with the paper.
Now, do we have to have separate dumpsters for these things here?
No, everything goes in together.
Single, this
This
recycling
is-
and the household trash are different.
Yes, the trash and the recycling go in 2 different containers, but the recyclables, everything that is acceptable in our recycling program, which is basically your standard cardboard, paper, plastic, metal, and glass containers, all of that can go into 1 container. But the trash and the recycling do need to be separated from each other. So there's a picture of the Star Screen separator, that's the paper one, after just a few hours of operation. We separate metals in 2 different ways. On the left-hand side, that big orange hump is a magnet. It removes all of the ferrous metal, steel, tin, etc. And then on the right-hand side is a reverse eddy current, and that basically electronically charges a belt with 2 magnets spinning in the opposite direction inside it, and it creates a mechanism by which as aluminum comes towards it, it actually repels the aluminum away from it, and that's how it pops it off the line, and that's how the aluminum gets separated. So that's the belt that's connected to the magnet, and you can see it grabbing up anything with steel in it. And then it basically, once it gets far enough from the magnet, it just drops off into its bin. And you can see how strong it is that there's metal just stuck at the top of it. And this is the reverse eddy current. You can see how when aluminum cans come along, they just kind of pop up and over, and everything else falls down and goes on for further separation. We separate glass basically with the same type of star screen separator technology. It's in a box because it breaks, and we don't want glass flinging around the facility. The stars, instead of being made of rubber, are made of steel. So at this point in the system, theoretically, all we should have left going through the box is the plastics and the glass. So the plastic bounces along the stars, and the glass hits them, shatters, and falls down. There is no market in Maine and actually really in New England for recycled glass at this point in time. So what we do with it is we grind it into 2 very fine grades. We take it to our landfill. It is stored in a massive pile, and we use it as a road amendment at our landfill. The landfill's 274 acres, so we have a lot of roads, a lot of culverts and berms and potholes that need to constantly be filled. We also give it away free to any individual or business in any of our member communities. So that goes for owners, associates, and contract communities to use in irrigation projects, road amendment, or, really whatever in whatever
When
way.
you say road amendment, what do you mean? Like you use
So
it as a patch?
We mix it with a 50% crushed glass, 50% gravel aggregate, and then
Okay.
we use that as our roads.
Oh, okay.
I just told you that. This is how we sort plastic. Number 1 plastic, which is PET, examples of PET plastic in the lower right-hand corner there. It's an optical sorter. It's basically a computer. It can be programmed to recognize the chemical makeup of anything that we want it to. We selected number 1 plastic because it's the most abundant type of plastic we get. And as the material is going underneath the box, it actually hits every single piece with an infrared laser beam. It reads the chemical composition of the material. When it recognizes number 1 PET plastic, it hits it with a jet of air and pops it off the line. Everything else goes right down to into another belt and into a room, and that's actually where the most manual aspect of our business is people are sorting the plastics. Number 2 natural, which is your opaque milk jugs. Number 2 colored, which is your detergent bottles, shampoo bottles, etc. And then other plastics 3 through 7 we actually mix together because they're all kind of low grade plastics and we don't have enough room to have bins for every single one of those plastics, and we're able to move them in that grouping of 3 through 7. So this video. So you're looking at the material coming towards the optical sorter, and the perspective will shift in a second. And you can see and hear the number 1 popping over that metal.
Oh, so it sends a burst of air up as it goes over the edge as soon, okay, I got you.
Yep. And then here's our manual sort room, number 2 natural, number 2 colored, and 3 through 7 at the bottom. We basically have these huge bins. They're about 1.5 stories tall each. That's where all the materials get put. When they are full, those doors on the right-hand side there lift up. So for instance, we've got the bin for number 2 naturals totally full. That door lifts up, all of the milk jugs spill down onto a conveyor belt, and they go off to a baler and close it back up and start filling it again. That's a picture of cardboard going to the baler. This video will definitely hang up at some point, but this is a cardboard bale. They're usually between 1,200 and 2,200 pounds, depending on the type of material.
And what do you do with all the bales?
We sell them through brokers and direct to manufacturers to be recycled and used to make new products. This is the bale being turned to check for contamination. Plastic bags that slip through, textiles that slip through, anything that got in that bale that is not corrugated cardboard. We've got to pull it out. Of course, there is going to be some nestled on the inside because that which is on the outside surely represents some that's on the inside. But we do our best. If the bales are too dirty, they'll get rejected, even if they make it all the way across the water to Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia. It used to be China before they closed their borders. We save up the bales of any type of material until we have a tractor trailer's load's worth, then we sell it. And this is the material getting loaded onto the tractor trailer.
There are countries still following it, taking it?
Yep. You said
I said there are countries still, I didn't think anyone was taking it anymore.
Yep, they are. So basically, China sort of had the biggest appetite for recyclables forever because, face it, they're the manufacturing hub of the world. And so they had the most capacity and they bought the most. When they closed their borders, many Southeast Asian countries kind of stepped into the void and opened their borders, fired up every plant they had. Basically, it was Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, India, Turkey, Canada a little bit more, Malaysia is the last one. They are now starting to experience what China experienced, which is dirty material, too much material, and so they're starting to become more strict as well. Fortunately for EcoMain, because of the nature of who we are and also our geography, we have sold all of our commodities in the United States always, except for mixed paper. We were sending our mixed paper to China because they bought the most of it. The states and the communities on the West Coast are faring much worse because of their proximity to Asia. They were exporting almost all of their recyclables, and that's why they've been hit so hard. For us, we really, mostly got pretty lucky because we had been selling domestically all along. We did struggle with paper when China initially closed their borders. We had about 2 months where we had no orders for paper at all. We had 65 tractor trailer loads of mixed paper bales all over the property, just stockpiling it, waiting for someone to order it. And we ultimately moved through it, and we have no stockpiling now. Yes.
Now that they opened that new paper mill, are you guys gonna be sending a lot of the paper to that? Or?
The Nine Dragons
Yeah.
mill in Rumford,
Yeah.
our hope is yes. They have not done the retrofit yet, so currently they're using trees to make paper pulp. What they told everybody they were going to do is to retrofit the plant so that they could
Take some of that
take
stuff.
in
Yeah.
purely mixed paper as their raw material, make the clean pulp, and then sell that pulp back into China. That's the plan as we understood it. We hope that they do that. At the end of the day, they have no obligation to bail us out of the mess. And when I say us, I mean the recycling industry as a whole. They have no obligation to bail us out. They're making good money with what they're doing. So we'll see if they, decide to do that. We are actually selling paper down in West Virginia to Nine Dragons down in West Virginia. We're getting some loads into there. So, time will tell. There's a lot of innovation going on. There's a lot of artificial intelligence being developed to try to make recycling cleaner. The industry is gonna be hurting for probably at least another year, if not longer, until the innovation and the retrofitting of any mills that decide to do so really come to fruition. But we are moving paper every now and then. We'll get a little bit hung up, and there's a lot of trucking shortages, there's a lot of container shortages right now. So we'll get hung up in that sometimes, but we don't have anything sitting on our property for more than, a week if we've got a load ready to go.
Yeah, and I just saw this special, and
What's up?
I saw this special about that Rumford thing.
Yeah.
To me, if we can help our Mainers, and you know what I mean.
Oh, I mean, it'd be very exciting if it actually comes to
Yeah.
fruition, definitely.
So, and you also said, that you don't have to make as much on your paper as a for-profit recycling company. So you're
Correct.
able to move it even when the market is lower, is that?
That's correct. So because we're nonprofit, and we also have the 20 communities that own us kind of standing behind us and, really making sure that we don't fail, because they need our infrastructure to keep managing their solid waste and their recycling, we're just in a much better position than for-profit companies, because we don't have any shareholders that we need to satisfy by turning a profit. All we need to do is cover our operating costs. And even when we did not cover our operating costs, we have the backing of our owner municipalities. What I will say is that in June and July of 2017, before China closed their borders, we were selling our mixed paper bales for $107 a ton. At the worst stage of the market crash, we were paying $65 a ton to get our mixed paper recycled. We never got to the point where we started talking about, is it getting too expensive to recycle it? Should we burn it? We never got there because we were still able to move it. Now the market's really got quite a bit better for a while. We got to the point where we were paying only -$5 to move the paper to be recycled. Now it's kind of swinging again. We're seeing about -$18 to -$40 a ton. But things would have to get markedly worse for us to even have the painful conversation about, what do we do with this paper? We're really, really committed to seeing it put to its best and highest use.
And you may not know the answer to this question, but what do the other companies do with the recycling that have to turn a profit when they have cardboard? Do you know?
I do know, I can't say specifically this company does this company does this, but for sure, if you read articles and industry publications across the country, companies are landfilling their recycling left, right, and center because they either can't make the dollars work or they don't have any more room to stockpile the material. And especially with paper and cardboard, if you hold on to it too long, it starts to degrade, it gets moldy because there's food residue in there. And also if it's outside, it gets sun bleached to the point that the manufacturers don't want it. It breaks down in quality. So you can only stockpile material for so long. But absolutely, companies across the country and in Europe and in Japan and in Canada have had to landfill recyclables. For sure. It's pretty disheartening. There's our bales. We store everything outside except for paper and cardboard. Obviously, we don't want it to get wet. And number 2, colored plastic we store inside because that's your detergent jugs. And I don't know about you, but those things just never seem to actually be empty. So when they get baled and squished, they're always leaking detergent. So we don't want that outside. We're by the Stroudwater River. So here's the part of the presentation where I feel like it may not necessarily make a lot of sense to spend too much time on it. This is about the benefits of single sort, the benefits of recycling, what can actually go in single sort. I understand that your community's had been doing single sort for a long time, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so everybody kind of knows this. I'm happy to go through it. We can kind of breeze through really quickly. It's really up to you in terms of if you want to see our perspective on these things, or if you feel like, been there, done that, we know it, let's move on to the things we don't know.
Well, I just have one. The reason the single sort became an issue was because of the amount of contamination. And with waste management, and he was explaining sometimes the whole load would be contaminated and whatnot. Mm-hmm. It's different with you guys to a degree, is that correct? Or
so when the market crashed, we started evaluating our loads of recycling that were coming in for contamination. It took us a little while to kind of get our arms around it, to be able to determine the levels that we were going to charge for, because for many months we just absorbed all of the internal cost that it took to pull the contamination and the trash out so that the bales were clean enough so that we could move them. Eventually we saw this is not going away and we can no longer absorb this cost, and it was in the tens of thousands, if not in the hundreds of thousands of internal costs that we were absorbing. So that's when we started to really say, like, okay, this is we're in it for the long haul. This contamination is not going away. China's not coming back. What are we going to do? So we developed a whole system for evaluating loads for their levels of contamination and a staggered fee schedule, so that the dirtier the load is, the more it costs the community on top of the processing fees for us to accept the material, to manage the contamination, and to be able to turn around the product in a clean enough manner that we can sell it. So what we do is a load comes in, it scales in, they get 2 scale tickets. They drive up to the tip floor, they hand their scale tickets to a trained staff member, they dump their load. The staff member walks all 4 sides of the pile, evaluates the load on a volume basis. So they would say this load is 5% contaminated, this load is 50% contaminated by volume. So that means if you've got 1 ton coming in and half of it is trash bags filled with who knows what, that's going to be like a 50% contaminated load. If you have a load that comes in and it's 12 tons and you have the same amount of trash bags as in the load that I just described, it probably would be like 3% contaminated, because the trash bags, even though they're voluminous, don't count for as much of the tonnage. And so we then began tracking all of this and sending reports to our member municipalities It was weekly in the beginning, and then eventually it got to the point where we now send a report once a month. We also have 3 full-time environmental educators on staff, and we send those educators out to our member communities to educate the transfer station staff, the town hall staff. We do events at town transfer stations where we will pass out our literature, and we will stand there all day and talk to residents about, like, this can go in, this can't, this can go in, this can't. Any community that we have that has a transfer station that the recycling has to pass through, where we have gone and trained the staff and given all of the literature, helped making signage, done press releases, done education in the schools. Any of our communities that have that system and have embraced it and have somebody standing at that compactor saying yes, no, have been able to move themselves below 5% contamination, and that is the threshold at which we begin charging for the loads. So we give everything a town needs to be able to combat contamination in the loads. The town has got to meet us halfway and have staff that's willing to be trained, and have staff that really feel as though they're an integral part of making the recycling program successful. But I'm the person who sends out the reports every month. I've been doing it all along, so it's been a year and a half of doing it. And I've seen towns go from, 15, 20% contamination down to like 1%. So it is completely doable to have your loads be clean enough that you would not be charged contamination, and the only charge would be for the processing fee for the material.
And I will say on the staff that we have, I mean, they do a good job with the tools they have available, so a pretty good group up there.
How many staff members do you have?
Total of 5. I believe
Okay.
it is, so.
Do you think it would be feasible for you to have someone at the recycling compactor all the time when the transfer station's open, and the other 4 would be able to?
I would defer that to the guy that's the acting manager up there, only because I'm not there daily. I know the problem we were having here with multiple loads and downtime for changing out the bins. So that's one thing we want to avoid.
Downtime for changing out the bins, you mean that you actually move the compactor
No.
containers?
No,
No,
the
no.
waste management
Waste
would come
management.
and switch them out when they're full.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, and so they wouldn't leave you an empty?
Well, they
We
did,
have to
but it
wait
was
for
just
them to get there.
downtime, have to wait for it to reload.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be like half an hour or so when people would come along and,
Could be, yeah.
yep.
And I will say that the changing out the containers would be, according to what you said, we should be able to get how many tons in the recycling in a 50-yard container?
I mean, 10, I think, at least.
Yeah.
If it's functioning properly and if people know how to work it and really push it
Yeah.
to the extreme, I would think 10 minimum.
And we're getting 4, I think?
4 or 5, they said, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's either a weak RAM, not knowing how far you can push the container to capacity, having a hauling schedule that forces a container to go out too early. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things
Is
that
that
could
the
be.
smaller containers though?
No, it's the bigger ones. And according to them, the seals were going on the ramps.
Yeah, so that's, when you don't have the strength in the RAM to be able to crush that material, the plastics have a lot of muscle memory. The tin cans, the aluminum cans, a little bit less, have a lot of muscle memory. I mean, even the glass, we get tons and tons of glass bottles and jars that aren't broken when the recycling spills out. Most of them are not broken. And that's even in like a very well-functioning RAM. So you've got a lot of muscle memory in there of the materials. But there's no way you should be getting 4 tons in a 50-yarder. You should be getting 4 tons in a 30-yarder.
That's what I thought they said, a 30 yard.
Said 50.
Did he?
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel that when a new community signs on with us, we spend an entire day in that town at the transfer station. We do press releases ahead of time. We come up with posters. We put them all over town announcing that there's going to be a program kickoff. We give out 100 free recycling bins to the first 100 households that come. We give our do-don't cards, which, that's these right here. Leave them, in your town hall, give them to every resident. We have magnets that has this on it as well. Our recycle bins that we give out have stickers with this on it. We'll help you come up with graphics for signage. And then before that, we go out and we train the transfer station staff. Like I said, we train the town hall staff. Fry Island just came on board with us and we had an awesome day out there. And their first load that came into us was like 2% contaminated. And that even had like half of it was from before we had even come on board and done the training. So it was so remarkably cleaner from the time that they started with us forward that kind of canceled out all the contamination that had been in there from before. So I feel very, very confident that we'd be able to get you where you need to be. We've done it plenty of times. All right, so should we kind of cruise through this part of things? Okay, so, and I can also get you a copy of this in case you want to make printouts or on your presentations it's kind of small, so if you want to be able to look through it more closely. But these are just our do's and don'ts. Gives you a
No
bit of-
pizza boxes?
So that is a too greasy pizza box.
There it is.
That in the upper left-hand corner is an okay pizza box. And on this guy,
Wait, did you say there's an okay pizza box?
up in the left-hand corner, that pizza box is acceptable, that amount of grease on it, maybe even a little bit more. I wouldn't
Very cool.
turn it away. This guy in the lower right-hand corner, that goes in the trash, but you can
I
rip
don't
off.
imagine any
The
of our
top.
people have really greasy pizzas.
Yeah.
No.
The meat lovers extreme doesn't usually make the grade, but you rip off the top at least and you can recycle that. Pretty typical. These things we see in our plant every single day. Every day. We teach a plastic rule of thumb. You need to answer yes to the following 3 questions in order for the plastic to go in the container. Does it have a number 1 through 7 in the middle of chasing arrows? Is it rigid or hard? Meaning if you drop it on the floor, does it keep its shape or can you not like crush it into a ball? And is it a container? As long as you say yes to those 3 things, it will always inform you whether or not the plastic can go in. Yes.
So there are multiple types of plastic that you're, because we've been told before there were only 3 types of plastics that are being recycled, but you have
We have 1 through 7, yep. And so the number 2 plastics, both grades are quite valuable. Number 1 plastic retained its value. 3 through 7 is a pretty low grade plastic, but we are moving it. And partly again, that's because we've always moved it in the United States. It goes down south to Alabama, Tennessee, where it gets made into new plastic items. Because we had that relationship for so many years, there was no hiccups.
Thank you.
What about a ball that doesn't have any numbers?
If it doesn't have a number on it, that you get a no to one of those, so it's gotta go in the trash.
Gotcha.
And we've got our rules, the rule of thumb right here on the back of this card, so everybody will have it at home. Plastic do's. 10 million different plastic don'ts. Every kind of plastic bag you can ever imagine we don't want. More plastic don'ts. Other don'ts, we get these every day, all of that. We get all this every day, lots of it.
Guns.
Yep, we don't get guns every day. Not every day, but we get plenty.
You actually get guns thrown away? Really?
We also had several years ago, one of our guys just happened to see a fabric handle of a duffel bag sticking up out of the material. He pulled it, 70 rounds of live buckshot in the thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
That must have been a divorce argument.
I don't know. So we talk a lot about the contamination. Here's a really great looking load of single sort. This is what we get a lot of. That's a load where you can see the volume is gonna be very high. That load is probably gauged at 50% contaminated.
It's easy to see the plastic into a contaminated load, but what about the dirty bottles or dirty cans or?
We're not really considering that contamination at this point. I mean, if someone throws a thing of, a big jug and it's like half full of peanut butter, if we see it, we're gonna pull it out, but that is such small potatoes compared to the other contamination that is in the recycling that it's like the least of our worries.
The
really.
biggest stuff is like a garbage bag full of stuff that you can't see in it, so it could all be good stuff, but it's gonna be contamination
We have
because
to
it's,
treat it, yeah.
because it's not open to your machines to sort it.
Exactly. We don't have a bag breaker, and even if it's clear, we still can't be sure that inside of what may look like good recycling, there isn't, you know, some diapers. We get diapers almost every day, used diapers. So it has to be loose. And we just don't have time. So this is examples, this is something called wish cycling. That means people at home say, I feel too bad throwing XYZ away. Maybe EcoMain will know what to do with it. Maybe Casella will know what to do with it. Maybe Waste Management, Republic, Triano, whoever, somebody, please somebody do something with it so I don't feel bad. So they put it in the recycling. These are all things that have come into our plant. Lithium-ion batteries have caused several fires for us. Chemicals. Yes, we got a sword.
That's pretty cool. A nice sword too.
I know, right? Has a sheath and
It
everything.
looks like a Civil War era.
Shoes, cords, food, but we can handle all that. Plasticfilmrecycling.org is a great place to go for people to try to figure out what types of plastic films they can recycle, not in their single sort, bubble wrap, air pockets, bread bags, etc. Okay, on to waste to energy. Does anybody have any questions about recycling before we talk about trash? No, we're good? Okay. So, here's our plant. This is a tipping floor. We process about 185,000 tons of trash per year. They dump on the floor, it gets pushed through any of these bays into a 7-story trash bunker. Nope. Nope, I'm gonna try one more time.
Did you say 185,000?
Uh-huh. Tons, yep, so that's looking down from the top of the trash storage bunker. That crane, we have 2 cranes, one automated, one manual, that are picking up about a 2 to 3 ton grab and feeding the material into one of 2 twin boilers. It's the crane dropping the waste. That's the hopper, one of the 2 hoppers. So we have a redundant system, we have 2 boilers, 2 hoppers, 2 ash extractors, so that if one is down, we at least can stay running.
So you incinerate everything, all the trash.
So anything that lands on our solid waste tipping floor is considered solid waste, even if it's recyclables, because we don't have the capacity and it's too dirty and disgusting for us to pull recyclables out. Our crew, if they spot something that is egregiously not supposed to be in the trash, they will pull it out. Car batteries daily, refrigerators, air conditioners, microwaves, hot water heaters, hot water tanks, things like that that are just too big that if they tried to go down through the hopper, they would get jammed. But if it is combustible and it lands on our tip floor, as long as it's not hazardous waste, it's going in the boiler. These movies do not want to work for me for some reason. I really don't know why.
It's only okay.
Oh, it's just so cool though. Not gonna work. So that is the grates that walk the trash down into the boilers. It's metered by steam pressure and just by sheer volume, how much is still in the boiler. As it turns to ash, it slides down, it then goes out the ash extractor, so it's really based on capacity and steam flow. We combust the waste at 1800 to 2000 degrees. The little picture on the bottom, that is basically the bottom, not the total bottom, but where you can see that window where the fire is. That's the part of the waste to energy plant where People could come in, they take tours, and they can look up actually through those windows and see the fire and walk around the boilers, et cetera. That's like a close-up of the boiler deck and then the little window. Nope. Nope. That's what happens.
So how many tons do you take in of trash?
So on a daily basis, our capacity is about 500 tons. That's how much we can push through the plant as it's operating. In a year, we take in around 180,000 tons.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay. So basically the information that we have is that 1 ton of trash is roughly equivalent to 1 barrel of oil in terms of the energy equivalent. And so we consider that when we are combusting 180,000 tons of trash, that we are conserving that many thousand barrels of oil. These are the superheater tubes. The way we make electricity by burning the trash is that the 2 boilers are lined each with 12 miles of these superheater tubes. They're filled with water. The water turns to steam from the heat of the fire. It then runs a turbine generator, and we produce 14 megawatts of power a year. That is enough so that we siphon 10% of that electricity off. We run our entire recycling operation. We run all of the electric needs of our waste to energy power plant, including the offices, electricity, heat, AC, et cetera. We sell the rest out onto the power grid, and it's enough to power 10 to 15,000 homes for a year. This is the turbine. It's the steam, and down at the bottom there you see the ash extractor for boiler A. So the ash falls out of the bottom of the boiler onto a vibrating conveyor belt. The belt just kind of vibrates like this, and so the ash starts to kind of crumble apart. It's quenched with water before it falls onto that belt, and so the belt is trying to kind of break up the big chunks. Because it's going to go over a rare earth magnet that will pull out any ferrous metal that it can make enough contact with.
How much ash is left per ton?
So it is a reduction of 90%.
Wow.
Yep. That's a great question and something I should have already said.
What's the pollution impact?
Very good. This is our next topic. It's obviously extremely dirty to burn trash. We have a state-of-the-art pollution control system. So basically on the left-hand side there, you see the waste goes in the storage bunker, gets picked up, goes into the hopper, and then down into the boiler. We have several different pollution control systems. The first one is that we spray urea directly into the fireball, and that breaks down the nitrous oxide into nitrogen and into oxygen. It's the same type of system that you have in your diesel trucks these days, and so we completely eliminate the nitrous oxide. Then you have, as the material, I don't have a mouse, but as the combustion is continuing on, you have the flue gases and the fly ash, which is all the particulate matter that are pushing through the system. And in that area, we have the activated carbon, which is going to break down all of the acid gases. And then you go through the filter system, which you see is like the big tube that goes up. We call them the candy canes. That's the scrubber. And in there we inject lime slurry, which is basically like injecting a gigantic Tums into the system, and it's neutralizing more of the acid gases. And then as the fly ash is going through, that kind of looks like a square before it hits the stack. That's an electrostatic precipitator, and that basically is these huge curtains, metal curtains that are electronically charged, and they trap the particulate matter. They also trap the heavy metals, the lead, the cadmium, the mercury. We're heavily regulated by the DEP, and we're given certain limits that we are not to exceed in terms of sulfuric acid and lead and cadmium, sulfur dioxide, dioxin furans, and our goal is always to be well below those limits. So for instance, if we're allowed to pollute 100 parts per million of sulfuric acid, we would be, I'm kind of making this up, but we would be at like 30 parts per million. So we're always striving to be much better than we're even allowed to emit. So then essentially when you get to the stack, we are emitting 96% water vapor, 4% pollution. And then you have all of the really toxic constituents trapped in the ash, which then goes to our state-of-the-art landfill where it pretty much turns into cement once it's in the landfill. So everything is really trapped in there. It's not inert because there is toxic constituents in the ash, but it's stabilized. Does that answer your question about that?
Yeah, I was thinking about the carbon impact. I know burning the barrel of oil that you're offsetting, is this a better solution?
It is actually, and I just was learning, there's a gentleman by the name of Ted Siegler who we hired a couple of years ago to do a huge analysis of comparing the carbon of a landfill versus the carbon of that same amount of trash going through our waste to energy plant. And I can get back to you on the exact numbers, but it is something along the lines of, if you took the same amount of trash and you put it through our plant, we're gonna emit 8,000 pounds of carbon, something like that. You took that same amount of trash and you landfilled it, and it's gonna emit 70,000 pounds of carbon along those lines. I think it's fantastic that you're talking about the carbon footprint because we have an impact no matter what we do.
It's almost the same as the amount of physical stuff too. If the ash is only 10%,
Yeah,
so it's almost the same number. So you're
Yeah.
reducing the pollution and the amount
and the impact,
to
yeah.
10%.
Yep, and the programs where landfills are doing landfill capture of gases, I mean, all the power to them. It's better to capture as much as you can instead of just emitting it willy-nilly into the air. But from what our environmental department tells me and from the articles that I've read, no matter how sophisticated your landfill gas capture system is, the best you're getting is about 40% of the methane that is produced, and the rest of it is just emitting.
And you're getting 90%.
I don't wanna say 90% because I don't know that for a fact, but we're emitting 4% pollution. So we're neutralizing the vast majority of it. And the carbon information that I just quoted you, one of our environmental educators is doing a master's program right now. And so she had dug out that Siegler report and we were just talking about it the other day. And I was like, oh, I gotta read this. And then I got busy and I didn't, but I can actually get that report to you. If you wanna give me your email address, I can forward it to you. And I can also provide it to anybody here who's interested. That's one thing about EcoMain as well, is because we're a nonprofit and we're publicly owned, we're quasi-municipal, we're completely an open book. Any information about our operations, finances, anything is either available on our website or we will just give it to you if you ask. There's no secrets. The water that is in the superheater tubes moves the turbine, which runs a generator, which makes the electricity. That water then goes through a cooling tower to cool it back down and for us to try to retain as much of it as we can to go back into the system and close the loop. We purchased a reverse osmosis system several years ago because we need to make sure that we eliminate the impurities in the water. It's Sebago Lake water, so we've got to get rid of those impurities or else they will corrode the superheater tubes at the temperatures that we're putting them through. So instead of using chemicals, we use the reverse osmosis system. Here's our pollution control systems. Like I said, the urea, the carbon injection, lime slurry, electrostatic precipitator. And we have a control room where we run 24/7. And so we've got control room operators that are constantly evaluating the pollution controls. Everything is automated, just a massive wall of computers in the control room. So we're constantly watching to make sure that everything is working properly. This is the metals magnet, the ferrous magnet. One cool thing is that we've done it twice and we're about to do it again. We've engaged companies to come through and dig up all of our old ash and go through it again and mine it for ferrous metal that our magnet didn't get, and then also the non-ferrous metal. Reverse eddy currents, which is what you need to get to the non-ferrous metal, they really can't work effectively when you have the non-ferrous metal encased in clumps of kind of wet ash. And so we really have no way to capture the non-ferrous metal kind of before it goes to the landfill. So we twice now and about to again have the companies go through and they mine all the old ash, because at that point it's dry and they can go through and pull the non-ferrous metal out. We gained actually 10% of our landfill space back the last time that we did this. And we just signed an agreement about a year-ish ago. It's a 10-year agreement. A company's coming to build a facility on our landfill, and they're gonna be going through all of our ash again and screening for just like minuscule pieces of ferrous and non-ferrous. And we sell it, so we make money too, which is nice. That's our cooling tower. It is not a perfect system. We lose 250,000 gallons of water a day in cooling the steam. It's a lot of water. We did a feasibility study several years ago where we looked at trying to capture the steam and route it over to Unum, which is our next door neighbor, huge insurance company. And the numbers wouldn't work, the return on investment, it just wouldn't work. We couldn't make it work. So that's something that, we recognize is not a perfect part of the system. And we're constantly looking at it to try to figure out, is there something that we can do to capture that steam. This is our control room that's running the facility. This is basically a representation of the waste and what it turns into in terms of ash. That's our ash fill. This is the dual containment liner system in our ash fill. This is a wetlands treatment system that we have. Before 1988, when we built the waste to energy facility, we were landfilling raw trash. It's what everybody did back then. Those cells have been closed for a really long time, but they do get rained on. That rainwater does permeate the cells, and so we have this wetlands treatment system at the end of where the water runs through, and the cat and nine tails are actually able to pull up enough of the any of the toxic material that leaches out of the landfill to the point that every time we test the water, it's within acceptable limits according to DEP standards. So it works very well. We have a lot of wildlife out at our landfill.
Say that too loud, you have a lot of hunters watching.
Yeah, exactly. We do let people, especially in the winter, do all kinds of people fly drones and all kinds of stuff out there. We give people the ability to go do that. I know that we're getting close to the hour. These are our environmental educators. This is a list of some of the things that we can do for your community. If you can dream it, we will try to do it. A lot of our focus is that your community, your residents, particular things that may be nuanced in your community. We always want to learn what are the challenges, what are the things that irritate your residents, what are the things that excite your residents, how do we connect with them in a way that the information that we have to share resonates with them. So we're always open to trying something new. This just talks about kind of our philosophy around education. Everything in life is on a bell curve, right? Politics, religion, everything. Same with how much people care about their trash and their recycling.
Oh, we've been hearing about it.
Yeah, so if you take everyone on a bell curve, at each end of the bell curve, you have about 10, 15, 20% of folks that you either don't need to talk to because they are the motivated minority and they're gonna do it no matter what, or they're the unmotivated minority and you could even offer to come in their home and do it for them and they're like, no thanks, I'm just gonna do what I want with my trash. And then you've got about 60, 70% in the middle, which are the unmotivated majority. And those are folks that feel as though there's some kind of an obstacle in their way of being able to successfully recycle and put the materials that are leaving their home to their best and highest use. And that's where we want to try to connect with them. Is it feels too hard? Is it too complicated? Is it, an issue of mobility? There's just all kinds of things that present as obstacles to folks, and we really want to understand those barriers and help people try to break them down. We give tours, we go into classrooms, we do waste audits where we'll go into schools and we dump out all their trash with our educator, and with gloves and tongs, we separate the material into real trash, into compostables, into reusable, and into recyclable. At this Glenburn waste audit, they went from 30 bags of trash down to 1 after we did that, because of all the things that were getting thrown away that could have been put to a better and higher use. Even high school kids get into it. This is what we do for little guys, classroom, the ones, we get the kids engaged in, collecting recyclables in the school, and whoever does the most pounds gets the golden recycle bin for their classroom. We do all kinds of things in the community in terms of supporting various initiatives around sustainability. We also have 120 30-yard closed-top recycle bins that we loan to communities that don't have compactors, don't have electricity at their transfer stations to use to collect recycling. It's not the perfect solution because there's no compaction, so you don't want to be taking these things long distance. But every spring we do a recycling as a work of art contest where we accept submissions from artists and school groups to decorate the containers. We select the top 6 designs. They have to be about sustainability in some way, shape, or form. We give them $500 to thank them for their time and effort. We reimburse them up to another $500 for paint and supplies. We deliver the containers to them. They have about a month or 2 months to paint them, and then we bring them back and they go back out into circulation.
I think someone from this town won, right, Deb?
Yeah,
That won that.
Odyssey Romero, actually won this year. She painted it in my pasture.
That's awesome,
Yeah,
good.
she
So
did a fantastic job. It was beautiful. I had all seagulls and moose and.
I saw that one.
It's
It's so
that was
great.
Odyssey. She
Yep.
did a really good job.
that's wonderful, yep. So this one is one of our newest ones, the one with the graffiti. We're all just in love with it. Yeah, so that's that. We also have our Eco Excellence Program. This is an opportunity for towns in our membership to nominate individuals and businesses for an Eco Excellence Award. They've gone above and beyond in their sustainability initiative in some way, shape, or form. Our board, our recycling committee votes on them, and we can select a winner in the individual category and the business category from each town to win an Eco Excellence Award. We give everybody prizes all made out of recycled content. We also invite them all for a lunch at EcoMain with our board members, and each of them is acknowledged in front of the group for what they did. And it's a great way to have a opportunity to be represented and kind of acknowledged by their community, and then also for people to get great ideas to implement things in their own towns. Adrienne Herman did a recycling installation that was so cool. She borrowed one type of each kind of our bales and did an art installation where people could come and just learn about recycling, and it was just really tremendous program that she did. And then last, we have a grant program where our board sets aside $25,000. It says $20,000, but it's actually $25,000 now, every year. So schools in our member communities can apply for a grant for basically anything that has to do with sustainability, to begin a recycling program, improve a recycling program, plant a garden, get raised beds, have money to bus students to EcoMain for a tour,
Like a giant compost place?
yeah, do compost.
Yeah.
But you're gonna hit me.
And the schools can win up to $5,000 of the $25,000 pot.
Well, when Jen was in the Green Club over here, they did the water bottle stations.
Oh, awesome,
The
yeah,
refills,
that's a
yeah.
great use of it, absolutely, yep. And these are just some examples about other ways that we've kind of gone into and worked with businesses that have hired us or municipalities that have hired us, and those are in your packet. And this is just my last little thing that I like to leave people with.
Clay pots, what's that worth? See what they did on the shipyard, right?
So any questions at all?
Um,
Well, I'm gonna open it up also to them as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Go ahead, Chuck, I'm sorry.
I know we had talked on the phone about the pricing, but you could get me a complete list of that?
Yeah, and I have it here
Okay.
actually. It's depth enough to boggle your mind totally, so I'm happy to come back and we can sit down and go through it, but I brought a copy for everybody. We have 2 different programs that we're offering right now. You each wanna take one of these. The flat rate with a look back program has changed just a tiny little bit. The only difference is that the annual look back is on fiscal year instead of 12 months from the inception of the program, because it just got too complicated.
I'm gonna open this up to public participation right now too, so you got questions, ask away.
Oh, one other thing I should mention to you too is that we created a free app called the EcoMain Recyclopedia. And it's an app that you can download from the Apple Store or from Google Play. You can also just visit it on our website. And it has a database of over 1,200 of the most common waste items that you can just type in anything that you have a question about into the app, and it will spit out the answer to you. And if it's not in there, then there's a place to ask us to add it, and we'll go and research it and add it in.
There's one.
I do wanna say thank you for coming down.
Yes, thank you very much.
For the questions, thank you Chuck for setting
Thank
that
you for
up.
having me.
No, yes,
This is awesome.
very
You guys
informative,
got
like I said it would be.
Excellent, good.
2 different ones, I just had 2. Okay.
Did anybody wanna ask your questions or?
First of all, thank you for coming. It was a really good presentation and it answers a lot of questions
Great.
that we've had before that haven't been answered by other people.
Super,
So I appreciate you doing that.
thank you.
Second thing I wanna say, is that you talked about doing education for the people here in town. Coming to the transfer station, coming to local events and stuff and saying like, yes, no,
Mhm.
yes, no.
Mhm.
That's huge, I just wanna say that's huge here, because sometimes things get misrepresented. We were talking about the pizza boxes, and instead of saying, using them for an example, saying no pizza boxes, and that's not the only problem. So, I just wanted to say that that particular program is huge, in my opinion. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, like she said, that one particular box that was really greasy, she could still redo the top, I mean, recycle the top.
Right, it was like actually the cheese that was in it, that was actually the problem, if I'm not incorrect, at least really was the issue, but.
Well, it's like a lot of grease versus not as much grease. It's like if you get a cheese pizza and it's on kind of like a good piece of wax paper or something and there's a little bit of grease spots, no problem. If you get the meat lover supreme and there's cheese and grease and goo and everything,
Right.
that's when it takes it to that next level.
Right, but also in your program, you said that you don't really worry about small amounts of food waste, such as like if you have a dog food can, you don't rinse it, and that goes in, that's not considered contamination, or?
So the distinction I should make is that we ask for containers to be rinsed, not cleaned. So we never want someone washing it with soap. We never want you running a whole load in the dishwasher of
Because the soap
recyclables.
itself contaminates it.
No, the soap is fine. I mean, it's just a waste of soap because the materials, like for instance, plastics all get bathed downstream when they go to the recyclers anyway, so it's just overkill to wash it. What we were talking about in terms of contamination, we're looking at the really big problem things when we're determining the volume of contamination, so that if you have a thing of salsa and there's like it's half full of salsa, before the market crash, we would have dinged that, we would have said, ooh, that's no good, we don't want that. Right now, we still don't want it, but it's not as bad as bowling balls, lithium ion batteries, bags of trash, diapers, cat litter, etc. We will always ask for people to either consume or remove uneaten food products out of containers. Put a little warm water in it, put the cap on, give it a shake, dump it out, that's good enough for us. If you're eating a yogurt and you scrape as much out of it as you can and it gets all dry, fine, throw it in. So that's really the distinction, like we definitely want people emptying their food containers, but some peanut butter in a thing isn't as bad as a huge bag of
And
trash.
do you have a program for food waste as well?
We do actually, it's not something that we sell ourselves as a service, but we work with Exeter Agri-Energy. Has anyone here heard of them?
No.
They are up on, there's a 2,000 head dairy farm in Exeter, and they have, it'll blow your mind, they've got 2 400,000 gallon anaerobic digesters and one 1.2 million gallon anaerobic digester. These are these massive vats with a flexible membrane top. They put food waste, cow manure, and liquid byproduct from food manufacturing in there. They pull all the oxygen out, they bring it up to pasteurization temperature for 30 days. It produces methane, they suck out all the methane and they run generators off of that. Then they take all of the slurry and just goo that's in there, they run it through an extruder, they pull out all the liquid goes back into a digester. What's left is a dry, fluffy cellulosic material that their cows bed on. When that becomes too dirty, it goes back into the digester. We have carved out a space on our tipping floor for food scraps, and Exeter Agri-Energy, before they partnered with us, they were sending your typical kind of trash packer truck down from Exeter to all the grocery stores, the hospitals, the schools, the big producers of food waste in Maine, New Hampshire, and even down as far as Boston, and driving all the way back up to Exeter. Now what they do is they take those small bits, dump it on our tipping floor, send down a tractor trailer to pick it up, bring it back to Exeter, and before the food even goes in, they run it through a depackaging device. It's the only one in Maine, so that the grocery stores, if they have, say, like a thing of hummus and it's gone past its expiration date, they can throw the whole thing right into the food waste. The depackager just churns through all the food waste and the packaging, reverses back out, pulling all the packaging with it and leaving the food just in a big mash. And then when they send that tractor trailer down to us to pick up the food, they're bringing all that packaging with them. We combust that in our power plant. They pick up the food, they go do it again. So we would put you in touch with them if you wanted to start a food scrap recovery program. Brownfield did it, and they've had a lot of success. In fact, they started out with 1 or 2 bins, and the last time I talked with the chairman of their select board, they were up to like 5 or 6, and they just keep having to get more and more and more. And we bought these really cute little countertop food scrap buckets, and we hot stamped on them the list of things that can go in them, and we gave those to Brownfield. Yes.
So you said it's pasteurized, so has there been issues with E. coli? Because I mean, it sounds like a super protein shake that just gets dehydrated, so.
Well, I mean, no one consumes it, so they're.
Right, but you said the cows and everything, you know.
So.
I mean, I guess I'm getting at is there a danger for that?
Not to my understanding. I mean, they've passed all of they're really regulated. They're in fantastic shape in terms of how they run the organization. The cows only bed on the dry material, so I don't know about E. coli and.
When you said Brownfield was doing it, they're doing it like in the schools or something?
No, at the transfer station.
At the transfer
Yep.
station, okay.
So they have a whole bunch of bins there, and people can bring their little countertop bin, dump their food scraps in it, and then Exeter comes and empties the bins once a week, every 2 weeks, I don't know the frequency. But, I don't know about E. coli and salmonella, but they're such a reputable company.
Because you start dumping, food, you know, and
Oh,
it sits there, how long is it sitting there before it gets picked up, you know what I mean, that sort of thing.
For sure, I mean, it's nasty, but it's
Yeah.
very controlled on our tipping floor, and I mean, our tipping floor is a pretty gross place, so you don't wanna be like doing the 5-second rule.
Oh, I got you.
You know?
I got you, I'm more worried about it sitting in the dump is what I'm saying, before it gets picked up.
Oh, you can determine how frequently you want it to be picked up, but reach out to Bill Flynn in Brownfield, he can tell you how the program is working, they've had
Really,
absolutely
huh?
no issues,
Alright,
yeah.
And how long have they been participating in that food scrap?
Probably a year?
And how long has the company been doing that food scrap program?
I'm gonna say at least 5 years, probably a lot longer. We did an organics diversion feasibility study like 6 years ago, and they were one of the organizations that we looked at as having capacity. Probably even longer. I didn't even know about them until we did the feasibility study, and I just don't know how long they've been around, but they.
Americans waste a lot of food, was what I was asking, so rather than just put that in the mainstream waste and send it off to the landfill, I had heard that you had that food scrap program. which was
Absolutely,
what I asked.
yeah, and so the solid waste tipping fee that we're charging right now is $73 a ton. We're charging $55 a ton for food scraps. So if you have your residents divert all of the food scraps out of your solid waste, which we would highly encourage, you're gonna save a bunch of money right there too.
tonnage.
Tonnage, yep.
How about yard waste?
Yard waste goes in the solid waste if it comes to us. We certainly would encourage you to have, you know, a yard waste diversion program at your transfer station. Do you have anything like that right now? Okay.
Not yet.
You would wanna reach out to Mark King of the DEP, he's their composting guru, he's the guy that gets called when dead whales wash up on the beach, so he really knows his stuff. He can compost a dead whale, so yard waste is no problem for him, he can come and get you all set up with setbacks and easements and things like that.
The food waste, if you guys pick that up, so they don't come and take it, but
They would come to your transfer station and put it in their truck and tip it at EcoMain. We charge them $55 a ton, so
so
they
is there
would
a trucking
charge-
fee on top of that?
Yes, I would think so.
So since it's not probably gonna be like a 50-yard container, it probably would be more expensive to do that.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
And then that's when the community has to make a decision about, do we want to do the cheapest thing or do we want to put this material to its best and highest use? I would wager to say that Brownfield is paying more than they probably anticipated on the trucking, but Bill will be able to give you all that information. And again, the disposal fee is definitely cheaper, so yes.
I have a question on some of these numbers. I'm looking at the 14 to 17, 2014 to 2017 total revenues. Is this a typical financial?
It should be, yeah, I mean, they change every year. and-
Right, well, the reason I'm looking at the span is over those 4 years, there's a lot of variation. They've gone from a $3.1 million excess, the other extreme is a $1 million deficit.
Mhm.
But over those 4 years, they're showing about a $4 million positive profit.
Mhm.
So you're saying that if I went and looked at all your communities, they're all averaging about, in that time period, about a $4 million profit.
No, because, so you're talking about the owner communities?
Well, I'm assuming this is somewhat cherry-picked because it's marketing.
No, that's our true financials, you can look at it on our
Oh, this
website.
is for you.
This is
your
EcoMain,
finance.
Yep.
Okay. So I guess what I'm looking for then is what's an average per ton cost for the municipality?
for trash or recycling.
Oh,
Left-hand side.
Okay, so.
okay, I'm not seeing it.
So the solid waste tipping fees have changed. I've been at EcoMain 7 years. When I started, the solid waste tipping fee was $88 a ton. Then it went to $70.50 a ton, I don't know, probably like 5 years ago. And it's now up to $73 a ton.
That doesn't include transport fees.
Correct, that's just the tipping. The recycling is all over the map because it's market driven.
Okay, so that's gonna be pretty variable.
That is gonna be definitely variable. There was some decent consistency before the market crash, before China pulled out of the market. Where things would shift $10, $20, $30 here or there. Kind of all bets are off right now with the recycling, it's really all over the place. This also takes into consideration our operating expenses, so like 4 years ago, we had to take the turbine out of the waste to energy plant and it had to go to Tennessee to be cleaned. The estimate was it was gonna be $1 million, it ended up being $2 million. So that was an expensive year and our revenue in terms of being favorable to budget definitely took a hit that year. The month at the recycling plant where someone two different times put a metal signpost in the recycling and it made it into the plant and jackknifed in the plant and ripped a $10,000 belt down the middle twice. That was an expensive month in that plant, so that's gonna eat up some revenue. So it's really variable, but these are all true EcoMain numbers and they are all on our website. You would go to.
Yeah, I was actually more looking for municipality numbers then.
Yeah, we don't have the municipality numbers, those are all within the towns, so this is strictly EcoMain.
I do wanna kind of elaborate this question, or allude to it. It's 88 for the ton for trash, 73 for recycle.
No.
Vice versa.
It used to be 88 for trash, it is currently 73 for trash per ton.
Gotcha. Okay,
And the recycling shifts with the market.
shifts of market, but what's that going for right now?
15.
So we have averaged that without, a really big blip like the month where we had two $10,000 belts get broken, on sort of an average month, it costs us between $90 and $100 a ton to move single sort through our.
So that's what you charge a municipality?
No.
No,
Because that's what it costs us.
okay, what's the,
We're also selling material, so we get to eat away at some of that with the revenue that we
Okay.
earn from selling the recyclables. We are seeing in the last couple of months that it's, with the revenue that we've been able to earn on the recycling, it's coming out to be around $60 to $70 a ton.
okay, and that's just the
Recycling.
trash, now what's the
No.
truck fee?
No, that's the recycling.
Okay, I'm sorry, trash is 73,
Yeah.
recycling 60 to 70 per ton, what is the truck fee?
No, that, we have to set that up ourselves.
Yeah, we don't do any trucking, so you would, I can give you a list of all of
I
the
have
haulers.
that.
Did I give that to you already?
Yeah, I have that and the list of the compacted people.
Yep.
So the recycling is only $70 a ton?
So again, it shifts with the market, so we find that on average, from month to month, it's about $90 to $100 a ton for us to process material through our plant. From every month, we're selling material.
Right.
And so we're able to chip away at that cost when we sell material. Bear in mind that the average ton of single sort is typically about 60% paper. That's including paper and corrugated cardboard. Those two commodities have taken the worst hit on the market. So we move a truckload of milk jugs once a month, maybe. We're earning like $700 a ton on those milk jugs, but in that month, we had to move 40 loads of paper at a negative. So
Kind of
But
washes
so the
itself.
but the average cost to the municipality that's using you guys for a recycling ton would be?
it has been around $60 to $70 a ton. Now, when I first started at EcoMain, we were paying $30 a ton, $25 a ton, $20 a ton, because we were able to cover all of our operating costs and then we had excess revenue that we would share back with the towns. We'll never get back there. Nobody thinks we'll ever get back to those days, but we should eventually get back to the point where we hope we might be able to cover our operating costs, and then within both of the contract options that we're offering, you would pay nothing. We would charge you nothing, we would pay you nothing, maybe someday we'd even be able to pay you, we just don't know what the market's gonna
But
do.
right, as of right now, basically, it's in the $70 range. I mean, I know
Ish.
it varies, but 70, 80, whatnot.
That's what we're seeing, because the prices of the plastics and the metals have been relatively stable. So we don't earn anything on glass, we're paying to get rid of our paper, and recently the cardboard has kind of been tanking too, so we're actually not getting paid on our cardboard right now. We used to get paid like $120 a ton on it. So, we're not able to chip away at that processing cost very much because the high value commodities, there's not very much of them.
Right.
And so they're overshadowed by the low value commodities that is so much of.
Makes sense.
But again, we would have to basically be paying so much money to move our paper to recycling that it completely nullified any revenue that we would earn on the plastics and the metals to be charging you the $90, $100 a ton. And when we get to that point, if we're having to pay so much on paper to recycle it, that we're obliterating any excess revenue that we have to cover the operating costs, we're in another conversation, It's like,
Alright, good.
yeah.
Any more questions? If not, I'm gonna let her take, she got a long ride ahead of her.
I'm happy to stay as long as you have
One
questions,
quick one,
thank you.
and this is probably just me misunderstanding your financials here. If I look at 2015 on this year,
Yeah,
you're showing net loss of about $1 million.
uh-huh.
If I look at 2015 on this one, you show a net profit of $500,000.
This is just the month of December. So, wait a minute, hold on.
No, that's
wrong.
2015 actual.
You're
That's
right,
the
hold on,
whole
let me
year.
look at it. I am not a numbers person, let me just tell you.
Professor James found it.
I've spent way too much time looking at financials.
Okay, so
So,
here we're looking
You've got
at,
15, 16, 17, and 18 here, 15, 16, and 17 here, and none of these match.
I'm sure there's a really good reason for that, and I'll have to ask our
Okay.
finance department.
Now, you know what?
It says
Just so you know,
says
conflicts like that in
example?
presentations are, excuse me?
Is it because it says example, that it's not necessarily the actual?
No, it's real data.
See, all I'm looking at are these last ones where it's the annual, 15, 16, and 17. Excuse me, 14, 15, 16, so you have 14, 15, and 16 on both of them. Wait, let me see. You got 15, 16, and 17 on both of them,
Dana, did you find
right? So here we have
That,
1.0.
You guys haven't signed in, please sign in.
15,
Oh, I didn't sign it either.
that.
yeah, so this is
Doesn't matter.
definitely gonna
The same
be,
thing,
Thank you
same
for
thing
that.
for 16, and the same thing for 17, they don't match.
yeah.
And what's interesting is in 15, the top line does match.
Yeah, so there's definitely a reason for this, and it's gonna be something around this not being the full year.
Well, except it is
Or-
because, well, it's a 15 roll-up.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter for the presentation.
Well, Jim, you know what you do, just give her your email, because you said maybe she can
Yeah.
get you information on it.
well,
No, it's a good catch.
I don't understand that because, I mean,
Someone else will ask you that at some point, I guarantee.
let me give you this.
You're the only one, Jim.
If you,
No, Jim's right on with that.
if you can give me your email, I'll find out and I'll get it to you.
It's that, the one column says year-to-date at the top, so it doesn't mean it's the whole year, right?
Yeah, that could be it too.
Hey,
No,
you
it's the
could get a
year-to-date for
secret
18.
deeper swap shop with, if you won one of those grants.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love swap shops. We're big, we're
Oh, you
very,
do? We're
Yeah, but
doing
it might be the year,
Excellent.
it might be the year-to-date at
Oh,
the
I've been
same
waiting
time
for
on
3
those
years for
other
the site
years.
work to be done, but I
So
have the
it's
shed
comparing
going
apples to
in, because my
apples.
after right now.
call Joanne Andrews in Limerick.
No, because you got end of year, because it's December on 1, and that
Joanne?
number is.
Joanne
Bigger.
Andrews
Do you have,
in Limerick.
review minutes?
She's-
I'll get the answer, I'm just
Just get
curious.
that
And,
past that, 'cause I'm gonna go right into that here in a
she has won
second.
awards for her swap shop.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't go to Limerick, that's one of the few I didn't actually go to.
Yeah.
Further, I went to the, when
We're
we
gonna
were
make a motion to
researching, I went
accept
to
it.
Akron,
Joanne-
North
Joanne
Berlin.
what?
Okay, yeah, no, give her a call, so
So,
JBN dot.
gotta review them, so these,
What?
we already, this is basically what we looked at, right?
Okay, perfect.
Cool,
I will
I'm
be in
curious,
touch.
curious.
Yeah, I am too now. I know that they're real and I know there's an explanation. I just haven't done that huge deep dive into all
Yeah.
those details.
We're gonna
Yeah.
get some more
I'm
stuff.
a finance wonk, so that's.
Yeah,
Go for
better
it.
you than me.
What is it cost per ton for waste?
73 a ton.
So right now it's about the same as recycling.
Yep. Yep. And but you would wanna consider if they're both coming to the same place. You've got the transportation anyway, the only difference is that you'll get a little less tonnage on the recycling in the container because of that muscle memory. You can squish trash a lot
Run that
more.
through, real quick, this is the review minutes.
But, and that's where the community has, some soul searching to do in terms of, whether it's gonna make the decisions based on the dollars or whether it's gonna make the decisions based on the materials and stewardship of them. And no judgment either way, it's just, it comes down to a personal decision about the community, what it wants to do.
I think it's recycled.
What's that?
I think it's recycled,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's,
but I might be wrong, I don't know.
no, I mean, you know.
I'm with you.
That's why they're here. That's why we call them.
And I appreciate it, and I'm encouraged by this, and I've been, it's been painful the past few weeks, throwing away my recycling. Actually, I've been storing a lot of it at my house because I just can't bring myself to throw it in
A
the trash.
lot of people have been doing that.
I've been seeing if I can bring it to my parents' house in another town, maybe I might work, but,
Do you come to Portland ever?
once in a great while.
So at Riverside, Riverside Recycling on Riverside Street, they have silver bullets there, those 30-yard containers that get painted, and you can bring your recycling there for no cost.
Good, I was looking for someplace like
Yeah.
that.
Thanks, now you can go and see Lebanon artwork right up there.
And that's really based on Portland, the city of Portland's commitment to recycling.
If you want.
They have told us that we could tell people that if they, you know, if they're dedicated to single sort and they want to bring their recycling, because Portland has to pay to get those containers to us, but they're willing to do that, even if people from other communities are using the space up, so.
Okay.
Head on to Riverside, yep.
Okay, alright. That's about all I had, but I appreciate the fact that you bringing EcoMain in here and looking into this.
Yeah, we're gonna look into a little bit more, and then, if we need you to come down again, maybe a little bit another time, and then the video you showed, you said you can send that to us?
What I would probably do is put the presentation on a memory stick and bring it to you because it's too big to
Gotcha,
email.
alright.
So I can do that, and also if anybody wants to come for a tour, you know, we offer tours of our facilities. We would just need to schedule it, but people find it,
Facebook Live it,
oh, sure, absolutely.
that would be fun.
You just have to focus a little bit on safety to make sure that, you know, as you're filming, you don't fall downstairs and things like that,
I
but.
haven't counted the flagging certificate.
Do you really?
Half, that's good enough.
I did read it, but
Yeah, you were here for part of it,
I
yeah?
did read it, but.
I'm working with someone to help me with the composting. Composting gets dirty. Here's this right, in that number right here.
Nice, there you go.
See this,
Yeah, I checked.
the two fiscals, the one in June is halfway through your year,
Yep,
and it's year to date.
yep,
So the actual year to date
Is like
is
half.
half. That's exactly what it is, Jen.
I can put a reminder to.
It's the year to date at that point in time, that's why it's almost half, yeah.
Okay.
All set, okay,
Here you go, this is
Thank you.
man.
okay. I'm gonna go
It
into.
took me a minute, cause I don't ever look at financials, but
Alright, I'm gonna close public participation right now, cause we got, other things we gotta hit. Review of minutes,
That much composting.
Got a couple questions?
Driveways
Yes,
and
we-
stuff, it's
okay.
not going into the stream, right?
shall I close up
oh,
and
sorry.
head on out?
It's yours.
Oh, yeah, no,
So-
you can stay and listen, but we got other stuff to do.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Because I'm sure it is a drive. Thank you so much for having me.
yeah, thank you very much, I appreciate it. It was
My
very
pleasure,
informative.
really my pleasure.
It was a
Thank
great
you so
presentation, that's why I asked if we
Thank
could get the video.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
But if we can get it on one of those,
And thank you.
we can get it on one of those flash drives or whatever, yeah, definitely.
This is in your folder.
Alright,
Oh, okay.
got a question on the minutes, Mr. Philbrick?
6:38.
6:38.
Yes, I think sometimes these wanna get cooled down first, but that's all right.
Presented the November.
No, that's belongs here. So, and this is actually the town's
Yep,
projector as well.
Said it's accepted later on.
Yeah, it
this
just goes
was,
up.
I'm not sure why that says that. That was accepted
Thank you.
during the day, when it was, no, that evening it was voted on, if that's what you're asking.
It wasn't voted on before you went into executive session. And it-
Actually, this is all the
You get
town's
voted on
info.
after.
Needs to work.
Oh, was that my copy?
No,
I thought that
that's
was
not.
voted.
It was voted on after we came out of executive
Were
session.
you on camera?
I believe we were, yes,
Because I watched one and the only thing I saw was Deb's public participation.
I think
and then
we-
it ended.
I think we had a problem with the streaming.
Yeah, it was definitely voted on.
Yeah, it was
There was
voted
a
on.
second section.
Yeah,
There
that's what
was-
she said, but it wasn't all on
Oh.
camera
Cause
apparently.
remember, Chuck, it kept turning on and turning off and you kept playing with it up there, the camera was pointing down and.
Yeah, I was having trouble with it, but it was voted on, it was a motion made by,
I think it was made by the.
Karina.
Karina, yeah, and seconded by you, and
Yep.
Yep. So, do we need to, we vote on
Should
it,
have a vote on that.
have a vote on it again?
Oh, no, I mean, if you voted on it.
Oh, yeah, we
No,
voted
it
on
should be in the
it.
Should be-
minutes, but
Oh,
I'll
I
have to
got
fix
you.
these too,
Should be
okay.
recorded as
Yep,
such.
yeah, I got you, I got you.
This goes with this too, right?
Yep.
Who seconded?
Chuck seconded,
Chuck second.
and it was, fully accepted,
Okay, I'll correct these.
alright.
The other question I have is the warrant. Did you sign the warrant that night?
We signed the warrant that night, right?
Next day,
Next day.
Next day, yeah.
Yep, they signed it all with me.
Do they need to do that in a public meeting?
oh,
I believe so.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that in the past, and I just wasn't.
So what do we do in that case?
Well,
Yeah, so how do you recover?
well, you can sign it in another meeting. It's just gotta be signed,
Thank you so much for
Publicly?
coming.
yeah, it's gotta be in
Pleasure, thank you.
Yeah,
7 days before, I believe, or it's either 10 or 7. I don't know.
Yes,
Before
they
I should take it back from Mary Beth,
signed it last Friday.
but it wasn't a public meeting, right? People
No.
just signed it.
Yeah, when you came in, yep.
Yeah, you need to sign it in a public meeting, so
So I'll have to get it back from Mary Beth.
you can redo that
And
part.
redo, okay.
So we can do that tonight?
They could, yeah.
yeah, we can,
Okay,
you're still here, right?
well, I have a copy.
Oh, you have a copy of
Yeah.
it,
I
yeah,
can
yeah.
get it.
Alright, cool. Good catch.
Just wanna make sure there's no hiccups.
Oh, no,
Yeah, no,
hey, appreciate
Knowledge
it.
is later, so.
No, we're learning.
See what happens when you
Well,
leave
no,
all the new guys alone?
yeah,
You guys-
I can't leave us alone.
You guys been doing well. and-
That's right, you never know what we're
Well,
gonna
thank
do.
you for that. So other than those two, no issues? Everybody good other than those two?
Yep.
Okay,
Good catch, Paul.
yep, definitely. Alright, so now the, Chuck, just initial that and then you're gonna be corrected, the issues, if you want initial? You were here for half it, I don't know. You know,
I'll put half of it.
half an initial, yeah. And then that warrant will come out, okay, cool. Alright, so we'll wait till she comes
So that, the
here.
warrant's now legally certified, because you did it in right, Laura?
No, we gotta do it
We're gonna do
right now.
You're gonna do it now?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then I'll do the warrant that's due for today, and then see what we get for paperwork. Individual selectmen issues. The only thing I'm gonna do an executive session, so.
We have a public question at some point.
Oh, well, I was in public participation, but I'll go back till the warrant comes
Oh,
back up, go ahead.
Sorry, I thought that was
Public
just for.
For her.
No, that was public participation, but what do you got?
Couple of things,
Yep.
for the marijuana committee,
Yep,
should we increase the membership to 7? Because it's currently capped at 5. And I've
We had a
got,
lot
I
of
believe,
interest.
11 and counting applications at this point.
Right.
Who are the 5 now?
do we have 5 now?
We have 3 now, the original 3. We're doing interviews next week, and I plan next week to bring recommendations to the selectmen, so I'd like to put on next week's agenda.
I can be on it.
You can be on it, well,
But I can
12 plus
still-
now.
I can still be a
You could be on as a
vibe or
representative.
two, yeah. So to leave a space for someone else.
I will say for me, James, because we voted on 5 till we have 5, then you guys as a majority could maybe suggest 7, then we could bring it back to the board and ask for the 7.
Okay, so I should write a recommendation next week for 5, not 7.
Well, you got 5, is what I'm saying, you got, that's what it was approved for, once we have 5 on the board, then at that point, you can come back with a recommendation for the 7, because we don't have 5 filled yet. 'Cause we
Right,
need-
but I've got, what I'm saying is I've got 11 plus applications.
Application, we have 11 applications.
And rather
He
than-
wants to increase it.
I'd rather streamline it, so we don't have to do interviews and then seat 5 and then come back a week later and seat 2 more.
Well, what do you think, what do you think?
And make a motion, right? That's what we have to do.
Yeah, what do you, Joanna, what do you think?
I agree with James, his recommendation.
Make a motion.
Any opinion about it?
I'm-
Did you have 5 original?
Originally was the
Well, I'm
marijuana
on the committee, so you guys make the.
The original thing was a marijuana committee, because they went to the class about the new laws and everything changed, so we kinda motioned to have a 5-person committee to kinda evaluate the laws and how they're gonna affect the town, and what the town can do to be compliant, that sort of thing. So we originally, had a 5-person committee, we got, 2 of you sweared in right now, or 3 of yous?
Two.
Did you swear in, Karina?
No, because they.
Two of them are sworn in right now.
She's not a committee member, she's on it as a selectman advisor.
Right, she sent, she's trying to find out if she can, so you sitting there as an advisor,
She
Corinna?
just said she could.
I can stay as an advisor to leave a spot for other people.
Oh, I got you, okay, so then, yeah.
I didn't,
so-
I didn't remember us putting a number on, I just thought we
No,
put
it's
a committee.
five.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 5. So that's what it was 5-person committee. They got a lot of applicants that were involved, and I don't think we probably expected that many that quick. So, they wanna do 7.
Did you have any alternates? Finding your number there, or?
No.
Well, it's gonna be more of an information gathering committee than making any rules or regulations or anything like that. But reports and presentations and suggestions to the board.
I don't have problems.
You have a problem, how about you, Laura?
That's fine.
I guess you just need a motion, and advisor, you can make that motion.
Okay, I would advise then that we increase.
As a selectman, make the motion, not as the advisor.
Increase the number of members to 7 because there's been overwhelming interest
Members of 7-4,
for the Cannabis Policy Committee.
okay?
Cannabis.
Cannabis committee.
Cannabis.
Cannabis Policy Committee.
Did we change the name too?
Yeah, they did.
Who did?
It's cannabis
Officially, we're the cannabis committee.
Yeah, you're the cannabis committee.
Change the name.
No, it's cannabis committee.
Cannabis committee.
We can stick
Well,
with cannabis
anyways,
committee.
7 members.
Okay, so Corinna's making a motion to change the cannabis committee to a 7-member committee. Any seconds?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Chuck Russell. Any discussion? All in
I just have a
favor?
question, wait, I have a
Go ahead.
question.
Yeah.
So they're gonna screen people and then we're gonna appoint them? Is that what we're doing?
So that was the next thing I was gonna do. We're interviewing people at our next meeting.
Mhm.
I was going to bring recommendations to you,
Mhm.
trying to create a balanced committee, and I don't know if you all want us vote on a seating list or individually, but I'll bring recommendations to the select.
You're gonna make a list of, keep notes and interview of each
Right.
one and put like a thing together with each person that applied and have your recommendations, but allow us to see all the applications, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
We let them.
We also, they'll see all the applications.
You'll see
Yes, all the applications with notes about each person.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I just wondered who's doing what. I was kinda
No,
mixed
you
up
weren't here.
about
That's
that.
totally okay.
I was
Yeah.
mixed up about
Yeah.
what was going on, so I didn't know.
What it is, was they asked the cannabis committee, cause what's going on with the state and the laws and change, so we originally.
Well,
approved
I
it.
was here for
Oh,
that,
you were here for that?
but I wasn't here for 1 week and boy,
I know,
what
a
happened?
lot changed.
Yeah, let's-
One meeting, what
I
happened?
missed them before.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I was like, holy.
Alright. Alright, any other questions, any more discussion on it? All in favor?
There you go.
7.
I have one other question, and that's just a procedural question. When we do the interviews, I don't know if you would call it executive session, but since they're interviews, it seems to me they should be offline and private. And I was looking for guidance from the select board, do you agree with that, or
I think I agree with him
I
myself,
totally agree with it too.
that's up, you know,
does anybody disagree?
No, you can do that, I checked into it. You can,
That was it, thank you very much.
Alright.
Okay,
but understand, it's executive session, so that means whatever gets said in there can't be.
It's gonna be specific.
I have a task though for the Cannabis Policy Committee.
I just fixed it.
That, we've gotten an email from a resident asking about the new caregiver cannabis stores that are popping up.
Yep,
And whether they are, whether
think that's
they're legally should be
I think
there.
that's a job for codes, Karina.
Right, it is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Get out for codes.
So I do have some information that is relevant, which I was gonna bring to you all soon anyway. I've been in contact with the state trying to get a list of the
What?
registered cannabis industry in town.
yep,
They can't provide it.
Right, because they're the only ones that oversee it.
Well, for one thing, anybody who's a caregiver, that's confidential information protected by HIPAA.
You need a list of the retail,
They don't have it.
They,
there is a guy that has it.
Who?
I'll get you his name.
Because I got the same thing for the growers and the processors. The answer I got is their database is being rebuilt as they move to recreational.
Yeah,
And they can't do any real data extraction right now. So if you know someone who can actually do it, I would love to have that information.
So good to see us.
it's really unclear. Other than the town, so.
The state does not track what caregivers have caregiver stores. They've just sent out questionnaires asking for that, is what I was told.
And as
So,
far as I can
Well, there's
see,
all the retail stores are right on 202, I think.
that we know of.
Yeah, well, they gotta have a sign out, if they're gonna be a store, they gotta have a sign out front, so if
Well,
they
they
don't have a
can-
sign out front, then they're not a retail store.
look, at this point, they can be anywhere in town too, but.
Yeah, but if they don't have a sign out front when people walk in, it's not a retail,
Well,
medical marijuana establishment. So if they have a sign out front, then they're in town and we'll see them, and that's a retail location. If they don't, it's not a retail location.
Well, drive about was my last resort for making a list. So,
Well, the only signs I've ever seen for it are right on 202.
All right, anything else for public participation? We're gonna get right into the rest of the meeting. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a few things. First thing, I sent you guys an email last week. We had discussed doing a grant writing committee, but a grant writing committee was not actually properly authorized by the selectmen, so I'd like to know what your thoughts were on that and whether or not you were actually going to put together that committee.
I thought we made a motion for it.
Well, no, you discussed it, but you didn't actually make a motion on it.
I know you two talked about doing it.
Right, we discussed it, there was,
Because we
I
wanted to-
discussed it during public participation.
So what do you wanna do with it, Corinne?
Well, I would like to reestablish it.
Right, it has to be reestablished because there was a grant writing committee, it has been out of use for about a year.
But there was, but we've never made a motion to do away with it.
No, right, there never was, but all of our, both of us, appointments have expired on that. So I don't know, that's actually my
Appointment letters,
question, do
right?
you have to,
Just need new appointment letters, right?
actually have to reform it, or do we just write
Just
up
new letters.
Just new
appointment?
letters
appointment
for
letters.
appointment, alright, cause if the committee's already established, I don't wanna go change the rules on the established committee, that would make a lot of sense.
Just
Okay,
new appointment papers.
so just do new appointment papers for that, okay, I can do that. The second thing is that, I just wanted to thank Karina for continually mentioning the alternate position that's open for the appeals board. I've actually had a few people reach out to me today, I'm hoping to hear,
Yay.
I didn't get to start because it was late, but I'm hoping to hear one application was dropped out today, she told me it was done, she's bringing it in today, so I hope so, and appreciate that. I just wanna make sure everything is all set and the appeals board changes as written are gonna be on this warrant, correct?
Yeah, you signed them, right?
Yep.
And Jen and everything was approved, yeah,
they're-
Yeah,
it's
and so done,
yeah, okay.
all done?
Yeah.
Okay, so switching hats and putting on my comprehensive plan committee chairman, person hat. First thing, I would like to apologize for being out of the room when, you voted on placing a comprehensive plan on the November ballot. I didn't hear, the issues that Selectman Adams had, and when I came back, I reiterated them and maybe a little too strongly. Jeff, I know you've been really busy with all the marijuana stuff and all the other things that you're doing. I understand why it didn't, make priority on your list, and I'm sorry, that I questioned you so harshly. I didn't hear the
You can question me.
or my questions would have already been answered, so there was
You
no
can
reason
come
for
right
me
at
to
me
do
with
that.
anybody can, I hope, they do.
Well, I just
Yeah.
wanted to
No.
tell you, sorry for that, and after talking to you further, I understand why you voted no, and I support why you voted no, because, I don't want anybody to rubber stamp anything, and I expect you to know what's in it, so that you didn't read it and you were honest enough to say you didn't read it was actually a bigger step than saying no. So, I appreciate that.
Alright, you're welcome.
Moving forward, I'm hoping that it will continue to be read by the board and that we can go forward with this. At this time, I'm sorry?
I said hopefully before June.
Yeah, well, at this time, I figured out with Eric, I talked to Eric today, I figured out with him that we have, depending on the billing and when it gets paid and stuff, there's probably about $1,500 to $1,700 left. So we can't be pulling Eric down here or asking him to do a lot of updates. So I think what we're gonna do is I think we're gonna just take a break from comprehensive plan for a month or two. I think, I talked to James today, I didn't have a lot of time to talk to Karina, but I think what we're gonna do is just take a break until probably after the first of the year. And then we're gonna reach out to all the department heads, hopefully with your support, ask them to update the information that we already have, send that all in one packet to Eric for an update, and then hold our breath and wait for public hearing for the June ballot. I mean, at that time, if we're running really close to budget, I'm hoping that we can come to the selectmen and ask for a couple hour more of his time due to the fact that we really were ready for November ballot. So it may take us a couple extra hours of Eric's time now updating and being ready for having the best comprehensive plan possible for June. So I'm hoping that you'll keep that in your mind that we may need that extra hours of Eric's time to put the updates all together on paper. So,
Deb, I have a question for you. Can I cancel your meetings from now until January?
yeah, until January, I think. Thank you very much for asking. I appreciate it.
Alright,
So, I guess I can save that for the good of the town, and you're gonna still do the.
I'm gonna go, yeah, I gotta finish up here, I gotta go around real quick, so if I close out right now, public, I can go back into this town and then adjourn.
What was,
Okay, I can save my other two for,
Good town?
at the end, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, cool, alright, right back to AP warrant, we got it?
I don't do it anymore.
No,
Stacy's doing it, and I think that Corinna has.
I'm working on it.
It's not signed, so I wouldn't give the amount, because if anything changes, it hasn't been signed off.
Well, I wanted to mention, there was actually two in here that aren't on the list. So I don't know what to do with those.
Stacy, I don't do AP anymore.
Okay,
Yeah.
but these two are not on the AP warrant for this week.
we can see those, Corinna, up there?
So, I need a note, let's see. They would be,
And this one here. But they're, except for those two, they're all there. So I can, but those two are not on that list.
I'll have to write a message to Stacy.
Yeah, those two are not on
Her
the.
door's open. Oh, yeah, she's here, want me to get her?
Yeah.
Sure, I was thinking she's gone.
I can initial those though because
Yeah.
from,
Yeah, no, yeah,
She
just,
may change the whole.
you might change it, but if not,
alright,
uh,
I'll bring this into her and show her.
she's coming in,
Coming in.
she's coming in, yeah, yeah. Do you wanna see what's not on there?
Yeah, I saw it.
What you got?
Do you want the,
Thank you, yeah.
So used to.
Alright, here you go.
Probably just forgot one.
These are not on the warrant.
Cause I missed those,
Alright.
that's exactly why.
okay, do you want the whole pile then?
No, I will just take these back, cause that I missed these ones on there, like completely missed them.
And then just sign the ones that are there, is that what you're suggesting? Okay.
Yeah, the rest
Okay.
should all be
What's that? There it is.
okay, sorry.
My good.
Thank you.
Good catch. Alright, now can I read the warrant aloud?
Wait a minute, let me
Oh.
sign, can I sign the last page? Oh, I never.
I know, I haven't signed it yet, I gotta read it out loud, I'm gonna send everybody to sign it. We good? Corinne, you good?
I'm good, I went through the whole thing.
Wow, thank you. Alright, so the warrant total is $570,366.22.
Includes the school budget.
Yes. Includes the school payment.
Here you go. Did you wanna sign it?
No, I didn't look through it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't look at it.
Well,
No, anybody?
It should say special, it shouldn't say annual.
Okay.
Can you just?
Yeah, sign it till next week.
Well, you can sign, I'm gonna look at it
It's
tonight.
not annual was in June.
Oh, so
Before
this
you
is the.
leave.
This is a
Yeah, I'll do
special,
it if you.
that's no, it's a special.
Is that all we got for paperwork?
Well, she gotta fix the warrant. before we sign.
Just gotta fix the warrant?
Wait, she said she's,
Okay.
oh, that one.
minute to go through it.
I even put in alphabetical, order according to the thing, so it'd be easy for you to look through. In order, except for that one. That one was the only one that I didn't put in the order. But you can put it in when you look at it, if you want.
I'm not sure what that says, so I'll wait.
That's a whole one,
all one?
yeah. That's why I actually had to pull this one out, because this one was mixed in with those ones. This one was mixed in with the others.
I guess I'll work them over there while I'm signing them, that way you guys can send them to him. Don't know what that one says.
Wait a
Who
minute.
did you give this to?
I don't know, you gave it to me, so I
Is that
give it
what
back
that
to you,
is?
to give it up, yeah, so.
Oh, it said water, so I'm not sure what it was, okay.
You're making me emotional.
I will.
So every Tuesday, I can do you through January, and then you'll have to.
Well, yeah, because we may end up going.
What is, what is that?
Effective?
No, conducting effective workplace investigations.
This is the description of it.
So it's a class?
Oops.
Oh, that's. Alright, I'm with you. Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, tires and oil and waste stuff. We talked to Miss Sherry.
Did everything get filled out the way it was
And they
supposed to
said they
be?
would do,
On this application that was sent back originally,
This is what they, everybody to look at.
okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Like tires and antifreeze and oil. Well, they burn the oil, the waste oil.
Right, keep that place warm.
And you guys to look at, these go down, one for each.
Oh, I get you, get you. Yeah, that's okay.
I didn't know you are on these.
Alright,
This is what we use for alcohol, and the area uses paint.
the pump test, that's the one that we agreed on, so that one was signed, maybe,
No, no,
Wait,
there were
waiting on-
quotes.
waiting
You
on a
asked
quote.
Chuck, yeah.
okay. Alright, no, sorry, throwing a bunch at you,
What mailings?
this one was denied, he's gonna be coming back with quotes on that.
Oh, I'm still waiting for a quote from these people. I'll call them,
You still waiting on a quote on that, is that what he's doing?
I'll call them, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's,
is this the one that they, asked for the,
Small radios. Yeah, yeah, and we're waiting for an inventory list.
sending more stuff, we're all waiting for an inventory list to come over, okay? Alright, so I guess we'll just, you guys can look at those, I guess, everybody has a right to look
I
at
think
them.
so. They're all together, yeah.
Where's? Are they doing liquor too?
They didn't ask for liquor.
I think this is where the quote went.
Special entertainment.
I think
Yeah,
liquor.
and state treasurer, yeah,
That's all I
right there.
gave, that's all
Just
she
the
did.
quotes,
Isn't
just
that
everything's still
part
waiting
of
on
the-
quotes?
Yeah, wait,
And
Okay,
where's
I think,
the
who's that for?
septic?
I know JT said he's gonna send some quotes.
That's important
Oh.
because there's been a
So
history.
who
No, he
asked
went ahead
them
and
for
did it.
that, codes?
Because of.
Well, I think Jen was doing
Is
it.
that this, the
Jen
safety issue?
knows because we went through
Alright,
this.
so I'm gonna
I
have
don't
to
know.
be Jen.
we need the septic thing because
I'm all set with
it only is allowed for so many people.
Okay. We need
Because
septic.
on the permit, will say how many people on the special amusement permit.
Take a look at them.
So she's still incomplete.
They're waiting on quotes, most of them.
Maybe not, but I gotta
There's another one
look at
waiting
the
on
stuff. I'm coming in tomorrow
Okay.
afternoon. I gotta read the
This is
special
incomplete.
amusement permit,
Incomplete.
ordinance.
You wanna
So-
keep this?
Yeah, so Laura's gonna come in tomorrow and then we'll,
Well, I gotta look at the special amusement permit because I thought that had to be.
So this was
Okay,
the last one.
Navy's,
What it was, uniform, I guess, was purchased and, yes.
for who? Oh, yeah, it doesn't mean, what's it for?
This,
Never mind, okay.
yeah, I'm not real sure.
What?
That one right there with the pants. Which
Oh,
one was that?
He didn't, they
Oh, that
were
was-
$70 at the store, you could've got them online for $50 a piece. And he didn't ask before, he didn't turn a purchase order in for approval before he went and did it, so.
Okay, so is he returning them and getting the other ones?
Oh, I don't know, I think he should.
Did we talk about it or? I wasn't
He,
here, so I don't.
he did,
Did
I-
you take a repair, didn't you get the prices on that?
he
Yeah,
did
he
talk
did.
about it, that he may return them, so I'm not 100% sure if he
Okay.
did.
But not
What he did was he ordered them, without a purchase order, and.
the lighting, I think he might have got lighting
So that's
done.
kinda,
I think that was okay, you were okay with it, cause he took it in, he wasn't getting conditions.
anybody, you guys wanna sign it, you can, you don't have to not
I'm
sign
gonna
it.
ask him to be.
But he did mention that going forward, that he would, follow proper protocol on it.
Didn't he give us the inventory on the radios? He told us that night how many radios there were.
He said he'd sent an email a while back.
Yeah, there's supposed to be an email to come with it, because they weren't real sure, they were gonna double check which ones were the pager versus UHF. Yes, cause they were talking about replacing those.
I'll reach out to JT about
Yeah.
that, cause I think he's the one that said that, right?
Yeah, he said that, yeah.
And we denied their internet upgrade?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was denied. JT said he was gonna look into a bed deal, cause he said he thought it was expensive.
It's $1,000 for, and I don't understand why they need, I tested their internet there, it comes back, they can run multiple, streaming devices. I mean, they got a PlayStation 4 hooked up in there, they got a laptop hooked up to the TV, I mean, is that why they need fast, their internet's faster than my house, and we
I know
run
it.
6 TVs.
I know it crashes a lot, that's all I know.
Well, he said the assistant chief thought it was expensive, so he was gonna look at getting some other quotes, so.
And I think the wireless router they have for what they need the internet for is just fine, myself.
So-
That's like for a huge business, outdoor antenna.
The annual pump test, aren't we doing, I mean.
That should be good. Yeah, that has to be done, yeah. Yeah, that one should be good. But there was some stuff when they brought it to us, they were like, well, we gotta look at some other stuff. I'm like, okay,
Okay, so we're inventorying the radios first, is that
that's
we're
what he
doing?
said, yeah, cause we was asking for UHF
And
and
I want a list of how many guys use their own radios that don't need a radio.
that was mentioned.
Okay, so that, we're looking into something else for that, okay.
The
Sorry, I'm
pump,
just.
the pump test, I think, is some,
Tanker
looking into something
repair
else
to
too.
emergency lighting, needs 3 quotes.
That's the one,
Take this off.
that's the one, I think they did that when we okayed it along with the other,
Yeah, I think that one's been okayed.
that one's been done.
What is that? I didn't think I signed
So we
it.
don't have to sign it?
Well, I think it's gonna change now, cause they had to add something to it, so that's gonna change.
So I think they're gonna either update it with the new one, yeah.
I know,
So this one's, I'm
he's gonna
confused.
update it,
He's gonna
he's
update it.
gonna update
Yeah,
it.
it needs to be updated.
A lot of what they gave us, they were like, well, we'll get you other quotes, so it's like, we had to fish what was the, everybody saw the email, right?
So I don't,
About
The
the,
one with the pump test that is, there's another quote coming in with the hose test.
no, they're supposed to send us different quotes,
Okay.
that's what they
So
said,
we're waiting on that one.
yeah.
So pants, we're waiting for him to come back to tell us.
Was that what the discussion was?
I don't know, he said sorry, he wouldn't do it again, but
Oh.
I don't know, I think he should return the payment. buy them online.
So that's kind of what it was.
But these are one. or
No,
one-
he said they were, if you read that, it says it's for storage or something.
The pants are for storage?
I don't know, read the receipt that he got or something for inventory or something, I don't know.
Mhm.
Let me see.
Maybe I'm missing something.
He did buy them, apparently, or he was going to buy them or order them, but he didn't do it again or something along that line. Cause I don't know, he came out of a different fund or something that he thought was for him.
I'll sign it, I don't care.
The, I'm sorry, I half listened on the radios too, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure on that one. So the radios you're looking at,
My question is that, do they need them right now? That's my question. There's guys that use their own radios. They have other radios and pagers.
wasn't it 2 or 3 that they scrapped?
Every year, yeah. I think they're actually down from what he said before. And this one's these are a lot less expensive and it's a combo. It does the radio and the pager.
Yeah, I was hearing what he was talking about, but I just,
I'd like a little more information on what they have up there and see what, that's me, but.
I know originally when we did his budget, that we told him we could buy 380 about 745 his budget originally. I think it's true, right?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, alright.
That should be okay, I guess, you know.
I mean,
Said they weren't-
Yeah, that's what was said, yeah.
But the internet thing, they were gonna look into something else, I guess, cause he said.
The internet,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just need a question. I just, listen,
Yep, is that whatever you want, okay.
we had talked
Yeah, there
about
was, yeah,
previously
but
when we did the budget, so.
it is that,
No reason, that's why we put the budget in today.
I don't know about, oh, the pants, sorry. I'm like, what do you want? I don't know about the pants, I'm not quite sure
Okay.
what the deal is with the pants.
I'm not real sure quite on the deal with the pants either. Thought he said he was gonna return them and shop better. Yeah, it just needs 3 signatures, but I thought he had mentioned he was gonna return them and buy.
No, he said he was sorry he went to the next.
So these are all good, so that's those. Those are good.
Okay.
So they're standing watch tonight.
Chuck, that's incomplete, so Laura's gonna come in
Newington.
tomorrow, we're gonna get together with Jen and then we're gonna
Because
call.
I gotta read the ordinance.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, oh, I thought an alcohol license was like that, but I gotta, and we need to have the information from, the septic system, cause there was an issue before when someone else owned it about how many people they could actually have there. Because the septic system, it's within the shoreline zoning, obviously, it's right next to the water, so it couldn't be bigger, so I gotta look at that.
Everybody have a chance to catch up with the reading and paperwork?
This is just the warrant, if you want to sign that again, make a motion on, or I'll make a motion on it.
So it's been corrected, but so you can make a motion and adopt it, you signed it.
Here's the thing on the hose testing.
That one's the one I'm waiting for the
Yeah.
quote from the other company.
That's what's testing, that waiting for the quote from.
I'll know tomorrow what it
Yeah,
Oh, this is for the ballot coming up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's the
Alright,
warrant, yeah.
I was thinking 8 people. Holy mackerel.
All right, so I make a motion that we sign the warrant for the November, what's the date, November something?
November 5th.
November 5th special election.
Special.
I'll second that.
Because it's not annual, because we have an annual
In June.
meeting, yes.
I mean, June.
Corinne, a second.
So it's special. when we have something
We don't
special.
necessarily always have one in.
Alright, motion,
Yeah, no, she was.
motion made to, do the warrant for November 5th by Laura Bragg, second by Karina Cole, any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now that it's certified, can I get a copy of that, please?
We haven't
Well, it
even
really-
started yet, Deborah.
Well, it really isn't yet, the second part isn't because Jackie, the resident who has to post it, and she has to sign off that she's posting it.
Usually I get one as soon as you sign it.
Well, then you can,
Not today.
you can have the front copy, I guess, but you can't have the back
Oh,
side,
okay,
'cause that's
you want the
Jackie's.
front one?
Yeah, no, I don't need Jackie's, I just need
Well,
questions.
and as soon as it's signed, you need to put it on our website, because we need to,
Get it there.
Lynn, would you like me to wait until tomorrow? So that you can
It's
do
up to you, I can do it.
I'll wait until tomorrow, I'll wait until you.
Do you want me to email it to you?
Yeah, that would be
Alright.
fine, as soon as you post it, that way you don't have to stay late tonight. I didn't know that was gonna be an issue. I would not do that, thank you.
You're welcome.
Alright, do we have any old business? I know we got rid of a lot of it last week, but we also still had some.
I stapled it so no one could steal it.
Still, we could still, okay. Alright, so we're in, old business right now? Okay, I'll go right down it and then we can touch bases on it. Prospect Hill Cemetery stone repairs, anybody wanna, there you go.
I introduced you, he came down and got the 1098, he's ready to go next week. And I've had a certificate of insurance to give Lynn, I don't know, did I give that to you yet?
No.
Okay, I haven't given, you said you need to fill in 1099.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's good, got that, and he has the paperwork to do that, he's just waiting for the go-ahead from us to do the work,
Alright, so,
What was the quote on that?
1,500.
any more discussion on it?
That sound good, does it?
No, I.
Sounds like a 46 dying, is what it
Yeah, that's
sounds
what I
like.
thought. Brilliant idea.
Any discussion on that? Nope, okay, so since that one's taken care of, I guess I'm just gonna take it off the old
Did we
business.
vote on it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Alright.
we should vote on that, who we're hiring and are
Oh,
we
yeah.
hiring
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
someone?
So do I keep it on old business?
Well, no, we just need to vote
I'll
on
make a
it.
motion to hire Ben Goslin, Grizzly Tree Services, to reset the stone, and he's gonna sure up the other one that's getting ready to go over as well. In the cemetery, he's gonna have to do it pretty much all by hand, because they can't get equipment in there.
Yeah, it's not a
At which cemetery is this?
Prospect Hill.
Okay, I forgot.
And then what was the other one? Okay,
That's it.
And the price, did,
Oh, 1,500.
1,500.
1,500.
I'll second it.
motion made to, take care of Forest Hill by
No,
Grizzly.
Prospect Hill.
Prospect Hill, by Grizzly,
Tree Services.
Grizzly Tree Service, seconded by, Laura Bragg. Any discussion? All in favor? Alright, so that's off. Alright, Forest View Cemetery transfer. So,
We're not at that yet,
nothing there
right?
yet,
We haven't
so,
done that yet.
Yeah, no,
We was waiting for Stacy to come back so we could do the money part of it, so.
Yeah.
so we'll hold that
I
then,
guess, we're down through and you want to answer my next question, so.
alright.
I have a question on this. Is there still an active cemetery committee? Cause I see it's on the list for
It has 2 members.
2 members.
Yeah, that too.
Are they involved in these issues?
I,
Who's the 2 members?
Nancy Lyman and Cynthia Fly, no.
Yeah,
They-
So their appointment is probably long expired.
Yeah.
That was my next question.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, because I'm thinking it was pretty close to probably about 18 months ago that, or maybe even 2 years ago that they were appointed.
Corinna, what was your overall question, who's on the committee, or?
Yeah, who's on is it still an active committee, the cemetery committee?
I think that all they did was inventory, right? I think that was their,
No,
No,
that's not what.
yeah, I don't really remember, to be honest with you.
I can tell you what we did.
Have at it.
because I was one of the people that started it. But we were actually actively, one of our main goals was inventory within the town, but we also had a goal of repairing a lot of the old and broken stones, identifying. There's a lot of veterans that if you go online, you find out they're veterans, but if you go in the cemetery, they're not even marked. They don't even have a marker on their grave, so that was a whole big thing, and it kind of got into an argument about Dana, is why we had a very active committee, we had like 8 people, I think, 8 people.
How many did you find that you marked that were veterans that weren't?
What did we found? 3 before we got into the one over on River Road, right, and the 2 up here on the second cemetery on 202. We found 3, and the guy over in the second cemetery, that bigger cemetery at River Road where the lady took us, remember? That we didn't, it wasn't even on the map. Anyway, I think there were probably like 5 graves that we found. They're marked now with a flag, but because we added them to the list. But yeah, what had happened was they wouldn't let Dana stay on the committee because he was not a resident, even though we had no budget and he oversaw nothing. But we all decided we didn't want to be there without him.
Well, Corinna, if you want, you can look into doing something with it, I guess, because you're doing pretty good with the other committees, so you can seem to pull them together, which is huge.
No, I'm just wondering, I mean, Paul was very interested in the cemeteries too.
Before we resurrect the committee, we might wanna look at the fact that there will be funds involved now. So we might want to cover the trusteeship
okay.
versus
Right, you may wanna, yeah,
committee.
definitely look into like creating an actual function
Well,
on paper.
that's why I'm saying, if there is a cemetery committee, that maybe these are things that they could.
Well, trustees, he said we're gonna have to do trustees now because.
Well, potentially, because, because Forest View is,
So should I just hold this?
is a active cemetery, which.
Although not
Yes,
everybody
well,
on a
you know.
committee would probably have to be a trustee, but the trustees should definitely be part of the committee. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm just gonna-
Yeah, it
You should have a larger committee that are
Okay.
interested in other things, but your
Right.
trustees for your different cemeteries should definitely be part of the committee. And the description of the committee should definitely be in writing before you start looking for people.
Take that right off.
No, it's a whole program that needs to be developed.
Right,
And-
because there's trustees.
And believe me, I don't want another committee, but I know it's something that possibly, maybe down the road that,
Well, there is gonna have to be something.
2020.
yeah.
Actually,
Right now, no.
Lynn has got called just recently for somebody who's doing a burial, and I went and took care of that today. To scope out where it was, I mean, there's gonna be more.
Thank you, yes, thank you. Okay, but, so, cemetery committee.
Did your question answered?
Yes, I did, that is still maybe resurrected, so.
Trustees, so alright, that one says on. Paving bids from Scott.
That was bad.
Paving bids from Scott, reviewing specs. So as far as I know, that was handled, right?
Is it?
No, not for the paving bid yet.
I would love to see
Okay.
those, just to
Still
look at
pending?
them, not to be on that or all that, just to.
Any information, anybody got any information on the paving bids?
No, that's, I'll have something next meeting. I should have had it this.
It's already.
Are you paving this fall?
We can ask Scott, I don't know, do you know?
What was it?
I just wondered if we're doing any paving this fall?
I did talk to him today and.
No, just make a note for myself.
And he doesn't have a list, where's my list on here? But he said they were working on, I have my notes too. What roads they were working on, he told me. They're trying to finish up like, is it Upper Guinea Road that had where they took the pavement out?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was trying to do those things where he took pavement out and there was a couple roads he did mention that he was thinking about working on, but he was gonna be meeting with that Mr. Carroll. Or,
He told me they were doing some work on
Shut the
Lower
plants down
too.
sometimes.
no, we're getting, I know, I wrote it down, I can't find it.
Because they can't, there's no way that they were gonna be able to,
Oh.
snowplow over there, so he was putting in some, one of the residents.
Upper Guinea,
asked him,
Lower Cross, and Union, Upper Guinea, no, what he's told me, Gauding Road, they took out and did
Yeah, Gauding.
all dirt road now. Upper Guinea, Lower Cross, Union School, Smith Road, I think they're gonna do something else like that with the dirt
Yeah.
thing.
Alright, so I guess we'll hold that one then.
They was telling me a few different roads that they were planning on maybe doing something on Jim Grant Road from Merchants Road to the guardrail. And then Upper Guinea from the bridge to 7,000 feet just shy of Mills Road.
So that sounds like a paving project right there.
Yeah.
Alright.
7,000 feet.
So I'll hold that till we find out for sure. Okay,
That's fine.
foreclosure route, property, Route 202, insurance was okay with that, so
That can come off.
that can come off. Alright, streetlights, Corinna went around, got a list of all the streetlights.
Not all of them, I just got a
A
few.
bunch of them though, right?
And I submitted, and, I gave, did you get those, Chuck?
I got some of them.
I did there's like 4 of them.
Alright,
And then there was also a street sign on there, which
so we still got a few that are still kinda pending now? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
About putting a street light down to the park and ride. You know, right by Country Store.
Yeah, by Al's old place.
Yeah, that's very dark. And I thought there was one there, but there isn't.
What do the people that live there think?
I don't know, I didn't ask them. I just know that people in the parking lot, it's pretty darn dark. If you
For
park
some
your
reason-
car and get out there, it's
No,
like,
I hear you.
holy, it's really dark. I mean, I thought there was one there and I'm like, a lot of people are parking there and
I thought there was one right at the entrance there, right across from Al's, there was one there was
I
too.
don't think there is, but
Okay.
it's pretty dark there. You know, if you park
Alright.
there, there's like, I didn't know.
Now, don't that house that lives there owns that parking right as well, or?
No.
That's
State,
public,
no,
or something
state,
like that?
they need to do some, they need to fill in with dirt. Remember, didn't they
It's
tell us they were
ice
gonna do something about
Actually,
that?
it's ours.
Yeah,
It's a
but
town
they
property.
were looking at it though, and thought something ought to be done there when were you here when we had our little meeting and they brought us the sign, the electronic sign?
I was here.
Okay.
I'm sure you-
But
Oh, whatever, I don't know, whatever.
I remember that sign.
It is a town
The one that went to the bathroom all the
It should
time?
definitely be
Still
better
not
marked too.
Alright, so
That's what-
streetlight,
what-
Because it fills up with water when it rains, and then in the
Right,
winter,
ice
it's all
skating
ice,
rink.
and
Yeah,
no
it's
one can
nasty
park
there.
there.
Yeah, it's
And that's what
nasty there.
created a lot of
no, I
problems.
was saying we were responsible for doing the grading.
I don't know, because he talked about it, cause he said something to him.
alright, so park and ride will look into streetlight and who's responsible for it,
Mm-hmm,
that works. So East Lebanon Fire Department transfer, that's still pending,
yeah. 'cause
Old
they-
Town Hall transfer is still pending. Ambulance
Where you are
bid,
with that?
with what, the old, it's just pending,
It's
we just-
because people were on vacation.
yeah, that's
Oh,
all.
so everything's ready to rock and roll though?
I don't know, because when we did our thing and we sent it to the lawyer was sending it to their lawyer, and both
But
Mr. Cray.
the deed is all set now though, that's what my
Oh,
concern was.
no, I don't know that it is, because they have to, agree, you know, we propose something, they have to agree. And the lawyer was on vacation, and then Mr. Cray, I think, was on vacation, and now I think they're back, did you get an email too, but.
Well,
I think they're back, and they were asking each other, so
Yeah.
what are we
An
doing?
update on the.
Yeah, so,
I was talking to Jim, and
Yeah.
Jim said when he got back, I was talking to
Yeah.
Jim when he said he got back, he'd deal with it, but
yeah,
Yeah.
they were,
Yeah.
they
And
had,
this is all out in the open, no executive session about the old town hall.
I like that.
we had to the first time because we were doing something.
But it's
For
not
the
now.
lawyer,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's
well,
not now, it's all in the open public.
I don't know, whatever.
Alright, so that's gonna stay there, ambulance bid, deputy
Didn't get
chief
any.
put it out, didn't get any, he's gonna resubmit it, so that's gonna
Is he
sit
gonna
there.
lower it?
I think he is, I'm not sure
Well, I
what
would
he's
think so,
gonna
if we
do.
didn't get a bid for the price.
Well, wait a minute.
Where was it advertised?
Wait a minute, did I miss the noise ordinance?
He crossed it
I
out.
crossed it out.
Well, I think we need to relive that
I
one.
told him after the meeting on the 26th, he might reconsider that.
We really do need to reconsider that, the noise
Probably better
ordinance.
to wait till
Well,
everybody-
leave it on there then.
Please leave it on there because we have a lot of citizens' complaints about this last festival.
Including
Both of them.
citizens.
Both of them
I have somebody that wants to come,
Yes. hearing it.
wants to come in, but they're away this weekend when they're coming. So I know they're coming for the proving grounds next week, right, the
26th.
Yeah, she's gonna be away.
Well, I guess with the noise ordinance, Green, I'll
I think we
leave
should
what
have them come in a separate meeting.
We
I'll
really
leave
need to
everything
still
I
do
gave
it.
you guys.
Teresa,
We need the
the proving
decibel
grounds.
thing.
Should be in
Kurt and,
that I sent out to everybody.
I
Kurt
know,
and
I'm
Randy?
gonna get my copy
It's
away.
gonna be Kurt, Randy, and Brenda.
yeah, I think they
That'd be
should come a separate night for the music festival.
Cause everybody that called.
Oh, it's coming in that night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't
All
it
right.
about the music festival, what everybody's
Some of
ugly
it's
about?
some of
No,
it's about
first
the
one is
Labor
about the
Day.
Labor Day, trucks
Right.
gone wild,
And Randy is the manager for both of those
yeah,
events,
he's,
Okay.
yeah,
so.
and the owners, they're,
And the reggae festival, yeah, like I fielded phone calls from.
Could you hear it?
I could, not as bad as some people, but I could hear it, and I fielded phone calls from a lot of residents. I even got some colorful emails and messages that said, well, we should do this to you and see how you like it.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
You know,
It
so
was-
I live across the street from them, so it's like, you know, they're preaching to the choir. I thought it was louder than Saturday.
You must have heard it at your house, Wayne
I
heard it
wasn't
at
there.
oh,
Yeah,
Wayne
I
heard it
thought
at my house.
Saturday.
He was out of town, so.
I mean, I thought Sunday was loud,
No,
how about you, Paul?
No, but people
Did you enjoy
were-
some reggae last weekend?
so.
I don't even think it was the reggae, people were saying the bass was
bass.
crazy,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Sunday, I live almost exactly 7 miles from there. Sunday, I could hit bass at my house.
Yeah, so that's kind of where the.
and that's the first time
Wow.
they've
Evidently,
done
yeah.
something
It's
like
the first
that.
time they've done a music thing too.
I felt badly because I had people calling Friday, they were already complaining, and I
Thursday
explained
night.
to them that they were probably doing sound checks and that they were gonna go silent at 10 o'clock. And apparently that didn't happen, which they agreed in that meeting that it was gonna be silent
Okay,
at 10 o'clock.
and I did look at their permit, cause they had a permit
Mhm.
Yeah.
to be there, and it's not written in here any sound, you know, to shut it off at 10 or whatever, and I think that's something we really need to address on our
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
mass gathering permits.
But you remember him sitting there and
Yes, I
saying
do, but then when I went to look for it,
Yeah, going to headphones, they said they
They
were doing that.
actually did, and I can tell you this point of fact, because I was sitting on Brenda Zella's deck Saturday afternoon, about probably 300 feet from the stage. And on Saturday, they actually did go to the Bluetooth headphones for everybody.
At what
And I
time?
know that. It was a little after 10.
Well, after
It was 11,
30.
I thought the permit said 11 and switched to
no
the.
permit, the permit did not say anything on it.
They told us 10 o'clock.
They told it, I think it was 11.
Right.
That was one of their
And it was-
signs.
Saturday, it was about 10:30.
Cause when I went there Saturday and talked to.
Friday
Taco.
night,
You did.
I was
Yeah.
talking with you, and it was 11:37
Yeah, it was
when it
late.
went quiet.
It's
So-
70 decibels is what it's supposed to be.
Oh, do you have that? I need a copy.
I said to everybody this, because people are quoting the wrong ordinance.
Yeah.
The ordinance that covers that is this one, not the outdoor festival one, it's this one, because of the numbers. This is for 500 and over, and I assume they were,
It wasn't 500 over, but that was their permit was for 500.
yes,
Right.
yes, so
You
this
saying there
says,
wasn't?
No, there was no way. No way there was 500 people. There
Maybe
might have
100?
been 250 people,
No.
maybe.
Was there even that?
I think Sunday there was more people because of the headliners.
Well, can I
The
see that?
headliner acts that they had, you know, some pretty.
You can get it off the
big
website.
names, But really, it
They're all
was so
there.
quiet
That's what I
on Saturday
said.
night. I couldn't even, the most people that I saw moving around there was the responders.
Alright.
Yeah, Saturday. There was-
So I'll-
that's a whole
Yeah,
different.
I'll put the noise ordinance, I'll just leave it as old business till we get something rolling on it, and
Weren't they gonna be exempt from the noise ordinance?
no,
Yes,
No.
yes,
no, because of mass gathering permit, they still had to be
Yes.
within timeframes. And there was a base thing on there as well.
but you said you weren't trying to, I took it that the businesses were exempt because of, they were covered
No.
by that.
No, No, it was within certain timeframes, yeah.
But
That's why,
we've
yeah, I
tried to
dropped it.
fix that
Yeah.
before and
Yeah.
change that, and the
Yeah.
people didn't wanna do it.
Yeah.
That's why I think we went and tried to do the littler one,
Yeah,
or whatever,
no,
but
you're right, they didn't want nothing to do with it.
I, absolutely not.
How about a live
And I
music
did,
ordinance?
I did look at this state,
Well-
and it said that.
There were a
Well,
lot
you
of calls
actually-
about the 4x4
You
too
actually
at
have
3
that
o'clock.
if they're serving alcohol.
That too.
That's the special amusement permit, if they're serving alcohol and having,
And they had the BYOB.
right, if it's BYOB, that doesn't.
And they got a permit, right? They
They
got a-
did get the permit.
They did get the permit, but it doesn't say on it any time. I looked at
For
it.
the BYOB?
Oh, the
We were talking
BYOB?
about BYOB.
I
They
don't
did
know
get a
that they.
BYOB.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yes,
I'm
yes, it is.
confused.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be confused, they got the permit.
Okay,
Yeah,
They got all
if
the
it's
permits.
BYOB, they don't have to have the special amusement.
Oh, they got BYOB on it.
Yeah.
I'm just
So
saying.
they're-
That's the two permits again.
okay, so are we doing this on September 26th?
Yes,
Doing what on September
they're having them
26th?
in here and.
About the
people-
reggae
And
thing
I
or
won't be
whatever?
here too, so just so you guys know.
Well, we might as well mention it to them while they're here.
Is that
There's
what that
people
is
coming.
for?
No, that's
I'm
about,
not sure what that's
that's about the
for.
Labor Day
Well, it's
event.
about both now,
It's
because
both.
that's, yeah, it's about both. Because that's all the people that are, they're all coming. I don't even know if this is gonna be. big
Well, that
enough
was
if
my
they show
next
up.
question, should we move to a new location if we think it's gonna be bigger? I encourage people to write emails, I said, you gotta write an email,
Yeah.
and send it to you. But I mean, you know,
I came into a lot of
I know you
emails
did.
and voicemail, cause I was sick, so that
Yeah.
didn't help, but.
so I just didn't know if maybe we should try to move to, I don't know, is the library open? I don't know, the school is really tied up, I mean, you know,
You have a bigger space here with 17 and 22, so that's the
Than the library.
39. Then you can hold in, I don't think you can have 39 in the library.
well, I don't know what the capacity is
I
as
don't either,
opposed
but I
to.
think it's 30. I want to tell you, I think it's 30.
Well, I mean,
It's just a
Yeah, no, I
suggestion
agree, I
before we
agree.
get to this point.
from what I understand, the 26 is supposed to be the owners of the business concerns coming in and addressing certain things. And they wanted to dispel certain things and rumors that were supposedly said about what happened. So I don't know on the other side of it, but I know because of the weekend festival.
Right.
There were a lot of angry people.
Yeah.
You know, and so that might even bring more of them in as well.
Right.
But this meeting was originally brought up because of Labor Day Festival.
But now
Right.
it's got both of the events, cause they
Right,
were
so
back to back.
now they're gonna probably be hit up with both of them, so they wanna dispel any rumors for both.
No, they were actually asked to come in here, John. I know
Yes.
you told me before that you didn't think they had been. Karina asked them to come in. They didn't ask to come in here like you originally thought. They were asked to come in here.
Yes.
Oh, cause I was asked.
It was a
to put 'em on.
complaint by a resident.
Okay, I was
There were
asked. to put 'em
complaints by
on.
residents, and it was a way to dispel it from going any further to.
Right, so like I told you, they did receive an email. I saw the email asking them to come on the 26th. It wasn't them that requested it. It was.
Well, it really
this
was.
office. It was this office requesting them to come in.
No, it really was a decision made by Mr. Zeller to come in
In a conversation with you.
and, yeah,
Oh, yeah, because I saw the email that Mrs. Zeller got, and she did not request it.
She's been in contact with me since
Yes,
then to
yeah.
make sure that they all get notified
Right.
since
Yeah.
she's an owner as well.
Alright, so I mean, I guess that's so, it was supposed to be originally for the Labor Day Festival,
Okay.
that's all I know.
oh, yeah.
Alright, whether everybody shows up about the noise, I'm not sure.
Well, I
I'm
think
getting a
we
lot of
told them to
emails
tell them
from
to come,
there.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, and I will let them know,
Yeah.
Brenda and the whole 4 of them, that it's gonna be encompassed by all.
Okay.
Because they're the contact for the 508,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, it's
they're the
their
ones that-
property
yeah.
and they, yeah.
Alright, so ambulance bid is, so we're gonna leave the noise ordinance on there, so then we'll try to get numbers and then we can decide. Because I'm not gonna be here like 7/26, that's gonna have to be up to you guys. You know?
I don't know what our options are.
Well, do you want me to try to find another place? Yes, that's, back to this, do you want me to see if I can at least maybe get I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, maybe that
think
just
so.
have the elementary school to back up if we do have it.
Well, I'm just saying,
They might be full.
Yeah, it's
you know,
still in session
the-
now.
and at night and people use it, but I will try if we want to do that.
Yeah, maybe we could get the gym, and if not, then
I'll
we can
try.
go in another direction.
Yeah,
Or you can get an empty classroom.
Or James, get the Grange if it's up and running.
I'm not ready to jump on that yet. I'm still
so
researching it.
I'll see. if
Yeah.
and we'll-
But I thought, I did
reception and
think
no one
of
will
that, I did think of that.
Well,
Me too.
we can get there, and if no one comes, we can come back here, I guess, I don't know, I
That
mean,
works.
No, what, I'm wanting, the
The only thing
ambulance
is, if
bid,
we
have to set up the camera and stuff, right?
Yeah,
I don't know how to do that.
JT put the ambulance bid out, where
I did,
he,
he gave it to me.
oh, he gave it to you, where
Yep.
was it advertised, that's what
On the
Chuck asked?
website.
Just on our website, nothing else?
I don't believe so.
Well, then we need to put it on the municipalities,
Well, you can, did they put it on MMA?
I don't believe they did, no.
Yeah, cause you can always put stuff there.
so why don't you put it back out on MMA and stuff and those guys?
I know.
Well,
mean,
no,
I-
no, that's.
We also have that new, with the bids, we added on to the website bids and, a job
I'll
opportunities.
find places to advertise
And we
it, if you put it back
Do you
on.
want a new bid?
No, you can just redo the old one.
10,000.
Are we
They
gonna,
didn't put it anywhere, I don't think people went to our,
5,000, yeah.
10,000?
I don't think people went to our website.
It was 5,000. You guys were talking about seeing one sell for 10,000.
Yes, and so it was at
It was
5.
5,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it
And I'll
was.
find places to advertise it, if Lynn puts
So
it back out.
rebid the same,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Possibly
listen,
put it on,
I think maybe we
In
should
the
look at
paper.
the tape on that, because originally, cause when I said the 10,000 one, cause it sold on that page I told them about.
It was
Yeah.
after it was already out there, you talked about that.
Right, okay, so the bid was
It was
already out.
originally 2 and they upped
Went
it
to
to
5,
5. It went
yeah.
up and you said, oh, we should have put it
I
for
thought they were
more.
gonna put it out originally for 9 and drop it
No.
down to 5, okay, I
No.
gotcha, alright.
It went from 2 to 4.
should we advertise that in a paper or?
No,
No.
that's too expensive.
I'll
That's
find
way too-
places to advertise it for free.
Alright, that works. So we'll leave that till that's done. Traffic lights on 202 Center Road and need DOT approval, so we already know that.
I have made a contact, with the DOT, but they have to get back to me. I haven't
So we'll hold
spoken to
that.
anyone, but I've left a message.
Alright, so put that on hold then.
Can I go backwards 1 second?
Yeah.
When did the bids due by?
Wasn't,
If I put them out
Put it
tomorrow?
out, yeah, put it out tomorrow for, I don't know, 20 days.
20 days, okay.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, he's gonna get you some other places to put it too, so. Alright, the other thing, employee volunteer cookout dates, already got that settled. Thank you, Karina, for getting that. So there's your name's attached to it, so that's done for
What's the date?
oh, yeah,
September
22nd.
22nd.
1
22nd?
o'clock, right
1
during
o'clock.
football.
December 22nd?
Yeah, December 22nd. September 20, that's alright, Chuck, you get to watch the
Maybe
pictures.
Fred will set up a big screen for us.
Got them right where we want them,
And
buddy.
anybody that's coming, let me know, and
is
we'll
there a
make it
cutoff
list.
when we know?
Monday, I think we said Monday we wanna have the numbers, so.
You sent
we can
emails to
have an
everybody?
idea.
I sent to all the groups, I told the department heads to tell their employees, I've posted it, put it in their boxes.
And just send an email
Came
to
back to-
remind them,
Mhm.
that we need to have a count by Monday.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're trying to get a count,
He sent you another one.
and also what they're bringing,
That is,
which
she wasn't on the
not everybody's gonna
website.
tell me that.
So I wanna tell you that.
Alright.
I don't know.
I'll make a copy.
And are
I
there
sent you
pictures with that
something
ambulance or
from
just the
it.
outside of it?
There was pictures
but
of
this
it,
was
I don't know if
when I
the
sent
inside
the
was
email
involved
right now.
at all. So why don't I, when I see you tomorrow, work together on it?
Alright, yep.
Because it changed to a Gmail.
Alright. Alright, guys, so we're gonna go into, so that's all I have for old business. Unless there's any other old business, if not, we're gonna go into individual selectmen issues. Any other old business, Laura, individual selectmen issue, anything?
I scheduled, could get the gym, I had to ask for, cause our public hearing for the ballot. And, Monday, October 6th at 6:30 is available. October 7th, I mean, at 6:30. That would be, for what we're having on the ballot, like the 2 liquor things and the appeals board, we have to have a public hearing before the vote, so.
October 7th.
Yeah, it's a Monday at 6:30,
It's October 7th, yeah.
it's a Monday.
Okay. And that's with the 2 liquor and the appeals to discuss.
Yeah, the whatever we have on the ballot, which
okay.
that's all we have, so we have to have a public hearing, so. That's what I was saying about dates. But that was available, so he said we could have that.
And those don't need to go in front of the budget committee at all, right? That's just,
No, only money does.
okay, that's, just double checking.
11
And then tax bills went out, I'm just asking, right? Tax bills went out.
I don't know if she sent them out yet, I believe so.
Yeah,
I haven't got,
Did you get one?
nope.
They went out to the printer. I
Started
don't
to.
know if they've been mailed, but they went to the printer last week.
Okay, so that's all
It's all
done,
done.
okay.
I would think they would be dropping in the mail.
I just wanted to mention about trunk or treat, October 26th, from 6 to 8 at the Lebanon Elementary School, and she's looking for anybody who wants to decorate their car and hand out candy. They usually have about 800 children to attend this event, and if you're interested, call Georgie. It's a great event for the kids, tons of kids go, a lot of people, pass out candy, it's a great event, so.
And it is on the website.
Tuesday, the 28th?
The 28th,
Okay, Monday?
October 26th, sorry.
Oh, that's a Saturday?
Yeah, from 6 to 8 at the elementary school in the parking lot.
October 26th, okay.
Yeah, it's a great event.
And the craft fair, did she?
Yeah, I don't know on that, I don't have that. The alarm wasn't set on Tuesday night, I just want everyone, I don't know who was
I need
here.
lessons, please.
Okay, cause it wasn't set, we gotta make sure we do that.
Key.
Sorry. I have a key.
Um,
You don't have a key?
I think it's really important that we put our meetings on the calendar and that we need to post things on the websites. I've had people ask me, they don't know where to go to look for things or what's the right one and, so I just think we need to, and if, you need to get the girls to help or whatever, but we need to post things on our website so people know what's going on and, that's it. And then, I had a question about CEO, if there are violations, are they gonna approach us about the violations, or are they just sending out letters, or what's going on with that? Do you know?
I know they've sent out a few letters for people, but not
Right,
with
check
any,
though.
no action's been taken, but just letters.
But I mean, do the letters go to, we used to get copies of all that stuff,
Okay, I'll ask Jen for those.
Um,
We should have copies.
because if there are violations and if we're gonna pursue that, we probably ought to decide, I mean, I don't know. I just asked.
I think we should have copies of it, I'll talk to Jen about that.
Yeah, about what we're pursuing and what we're not pursuing, and so we know, that's all. And the music festival, we already know about that, so, yep, and I did had a suggestion on, if we have some lengthy executive sessions that might take a while, that maybe we had done this before, is sometimes we did it on Wednesdays when no one was here.
Okay.
Just to, it's just a thought.
Okay.
It's just a thought. I don't know, depending what we're doing and what have you, so it's just a thought,
I'm okay with that. If it's legal, why not?
Yeah, so it's just a thought. Anyway, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Mr. Phillips, anything?
Yeah, one I have is and this is both Deborah and Corinna, the comprehensive plan. One of the concerns I had and why I was hesitant to support it last time is that the public input, and to me, we need public input before we do the hearing so close to the voting time, because if you want to make any changes to it and it's already been adopted by us, you can't make any changes. So if you could do the public hearings, or, I don't know if I want to use the word public hearing, but I don't know what other word to use, a couple of them this fall, just to get the general public's input. In case you do need to make some changes or adjustments to it, you can do it, and so when spring rolls around, which is gonna happen real fast, you won't have to try to make a change to something that's already been approved.
We have been putting the draft copy was out there on the website.
We've literally given
We-
away probably 60 draft copies, we've
Yeah.
left them here and people.
Yeah, but a group, I agree with Paul, a meeting where people could bounce ideas
All our
back.
meetings are
Well,
open.
Normally, and I
Public?
think Laura can vouch for this, normally, what has to happen is the selectmen have to approve it as ready, and then you schedule your public hearings for it.
Well,
prior to the
Well,
vote.
he's saying he
well-
wants public input.
Yeah.
It's a public comment instead of a
Yes.
public hearing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
So-
like the word hearing, but,
Yeah.
it's just a title.
So I mean, I'm not even understanding, because really, we put it out there like really hard to get, and we had people that came in and gave, but I mean, I can't go out there and put a dog leash around their neck and say, come, give us input.
Well, we could have a
And
meeting,
we've
we could have a
actually-
public meeting on a Saturday morning at 10, to discuss it and get the public's input
So
on
is
it.
that what, okay, so, we can do that.
Yeah.
I would rather have Eric here. I don't know, we'll have to figure that out as a committee and we'll get back to you. How's that?
It's, if you remember with the response we had to the land use change that we tried to make.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure something like that doesn't happen once you get it already
Yeah.
set and ready to go to the vote,
Right.
when it blows up in front of you. I don't want that to happen.
I understand. Yeah, and I appreciate you
Yeah.
watching our back for that, because that was a huge response, and also, I remember how well the marijuana moratorium and ordinance changes were attended, and a lot of issues were discussed at that time, and a few changes were made, and then they were voted in because those changes were made, so, yeah, I appreciate that.
And you have to put public notice 30 days before the public hearing.
Right, so.
Well, do you have to do that even if it's just a public comment? Because it's not actually a public
It's not
hearing.
Well, but the
Yeah.
public hearing, I believe you should have a public hearing on the proposed one. And
At the end, before the ballot.
And then, but it says right here, it says, at least 30 days prior to the public hearing, you have to give notice,
Right.
That's-
30 days.
Right,
Would that be the public hearing for the
Prior to the
final
ballot.
draft, or the public comments that we're talking about doing real soon?
I don't know.
Are they different entities?
Regardless, it should be a 30-day.
Yeah, I think
What
it
is
needs to
that
annex.
that you're
Yeah,
reading
so
it
that people
from?
can get to it.
Yes.
Comprehensive
But
plan.
aren't you at the final draft now? Because you're
Yeah.
ready to put it on the ballot now.
We're ready to put it on the ballot, but
Right.
between now and June,
But
there are
if
gonna be upgrades and updates that will need to be made. For example, just yesterday, Don Lutz from the Conservation Commission, they have now finished their plan, or they moved ahead, they finished it. They finished their plan for the town forest, their action plan, and he sent us the action plan, and he said, is it too late to get that on the comprehensive plan? No, apparently not, because we now have till June. So that will now be added, instead of just a small broken down plan of action for them, it's a very detailed plan of action. So we'll add that, because we now have time to do that, so, I mean, I guess as a
And the state-owned-
committee,
The state-owned properties came up
the
too,
state-owned
since.
properties can now go
So
on there,
it
so
sounds,
time
it
to
sounds like what we're
research it.
talking about is two public hearings. One that's a more, here's the almost final, here's what we have today. Out for comments, so we can make sure we haven't got something that's
It
gonna
is out for
alienate
comment.
half the population.
I mean, it's up for comments.
And then we come up, well, but a public forum gives
Right.
people a place to come do it. And then another one in the spring for the ballot version.
There should be when you guys have it done, there should be a public participation meeting, whatever, you give 30 days notice. Then if people wanna make changes, or you take their advice or whatever, then it can be redone, presented to
Right,
us.
so that would be the first one.
I think
Right.
probably
And then-
for that,
it should be
we should aim
finished.
for like April.
Right, and then the select, we have a final draft, which is select approved.
No,
and then we
April
have-
would be too
It
late.
can't be
It's gotta
April, cause it's
60
gotta
days.
be 60 days before
60
the
days
election.
before.
It's-
So it should be
it's-
February sometime for your
Yeah.
first one.
Ugh, February.
That's
Nobody
why,
comes to
that's what I'm concerned about, because
Yeah.
it snuck up on us so quick this time. I don't
Well,
want you to get
this-
caught again the
and
same
this
way.
time it was horrific because we all were working hard with budget committee and you guys were all working hard to get it ready and all of a sudden it was August 10th for
Right.
And people don't understand that, and that was part of, like my time space issue was, we worked so hard, all of us, to get ready for that April meeting, and then all of a sudden we all turned around and went, the heck is that, like, we have to have everything ready in 1 month for November. Yeah, so it was,
Yeah.
we had no summer, any of us, so,
That is true.
Anyways, that's my only,
so
Big
you're
question.
thinking that we should aim for February-ish?
I think
Well,
I
you
have
have
it
to
this
by
fall.
numbers,
I
yeah.
agree. I think you should do it in the fall. On the proposed, you should have one hearing on the
Well, this is-
We
proposed.
should take what we have and sometime well, you need 30 days notice, right?
Yeah,
If you're on 30 days,
Sometime in October, November.
You should finish the updates you're gonna make to it though, I think, before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, that's the issue with waiting. And I know that that's why Karina and I got very frustrated, that you would not understand, Jeff, why she was crying and I was frustrated, was because a comprehensive plan is a living document, and things change, goals change, people's ideals and ideas change. You could all of a sudden have a big boom on 202 and that would have to be addressed. So that's why the comprehensive plan is updated pretty much every other year. It starts getting looked at every other year, and then within 5 years, you're updating again. Because so much changes, people move in, big developments spring up, supermarket.
It doesn't matter when it goes on the ballot because it has to be updated anyway, so.
Exactly, that's what
So
I'm
it doesn't
saying to
matter.
you.
No, but I mean,
But
it
the
would
other
have
side
needed to
is-
be updated.
Well, because we were done, so we wanted
But you also-
But you would have had to update it,
Yeah.
according to what you said, you'd had to update it anyway, so.
You
Yeah.
also have to put a stick in the ground at some point and go,
It's
even
done.
though we're 4 months away from ballot, no more changes.
Right, and that's
So-
kind of the place that we were finally at with this. But now, like, to wait until June, it has to, if we present what we have right today, for a November ballot, it would be fine. But if we wait now and present it in April or May, it's not fine, cause it's all changed. So we're not ready to, I mean, not all changed, don't get me wrong, we're not having to rewrite the whole thing. But there will be changes that happen over the winter that will now have to be included and presented for June ballot.
Not necessarily.
Oh, you look it, we already have Dawn's, we want state-owned property.
There shouldn't be
we want, you
huge,
know.
huge significant
Yeah,
changes.
there won't be
Right,
huge
not
changes in that
huge.
though.
Alright, guys, you know,
That's what I'm saying, well, I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
I got you, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta get through this.
Well, like our
Stagnation.
recycling too.
Huh?
Our
The
recycling
lights,
too, we haven't,
that's good.
Hold up, guys, come on, please.
the street lights on, River Road, it's supposed to be up by tomorrow. So I haven't been down, or that one is supposed to be up by tomorrow for the bus stop. There's another bus stop issue that I have to talk to Scott about, one of the residents talked about, there's a tree that's supposedly ready to go down, I haven't had a chance to drive up there, but at the Prospect Hill and Schoolhouse intersection. So I'm gonna talk to Scott about that. The mowing bid, when I talked to Scott about that mowing bid, I made a mistake and I gave him the wrong price. I got the hourly rate mixed up with the per mile when we approved that last meeting. And it's a pretty significant mistake that I made dollar-wise. So the amount we approved, he can't fit in his budget. I've talked to Chris a little bit and talked to Scott. Scott was gonna call Chris, I'm not sure if they talked tonight. But Scott can't work with the bid that we approved without having to drastically cut down the miles that they are cutting. So I don't know the procedure on that. Like I said, it was completely my fault, but I don't know the procedure on that, how we correct it or what we do going forward on it.
I didn't get to see the bid, so I'm just curious, what was
It
the,
was 205 or 225 a mile, 205 a mile. And 125 an hour.
I think so,
Yeah, and I had them backwards when I talked to Scott. So, like I said, it was completely my fault, and I was trying to help Scott and help Chris get it in order. But I should have double checked the numbers, but like I said, we voted to accept it. Were you here the night we voted to accept it?
No,
We had talked about it the week
Yep, and I
before
wanted to check the
and
numbers,
yes,
yes.
and you wanted to check the numbers.
Yep, and so I don't know what we do going forward with that.
rescind it, that's all, and then put it back out to bid, right?
Well, the problem is we're running out of time.
I mean, how many miles, obviously you don't have to mow every road, are we including every road or?
No,
Every,
even with the roads he wants to do, which isn't every road. And setting it up so, he's not driving, stopping here and having to drive 5 miles.
yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, he said it needs to be down around 170, 160 in that range.
Or we just he can only do what we have money enough to do.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, what do you think?
I don't know if there's a process to pull.
I mean, if we only have so much money, then
That's it, when there's so
Scott
much
would have
money.
to pick, or whoever, I assume Scott, what roads he feels are important, and I don't know.
So since the bid was accepted, that's the process.
Well,
I don't know if we've ever run into this.
I don't know that we have either, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
Well, it's just a bid, if we can get the money, we pull the bid, and just, get Chris and Scott and to talk together, come up with a better bid, because he was approved as the
Well,
contractor.
it's kinda hard now, cause now Chris's bid is public. If you were going to rebid
But what I'm
it,
saying, Chris can't, no, I'm saying rebid, I'm saying with Chris and Scott, get them together to work on something that would be the way we're supposed to be correctly. I'm not using the
I
wrong
mentioned that
word.
to Chris tonight, and he said he wanted to speak to the board, but I don't think he ended up wanting to stay for the whole.
Okay,
Yeah.
Maybe he called Scott in the meantime, I don't know. But I know I don't wanna do anything improper with, or put the screws to Chris, because he followed procedure, like you said, now his bid's public. And I don't want someone else to get,
well, I'm not saying necessarily rebid, I'm saying get them together,
yeah, to work it out.
work it out, what's supposed to be done.
And
Wait,
Chris, like I said, Chris wanted to speak to the board.
Alright, well, I mean, how was the bid written? That's what we would go by, right? Whether it was, right? Wouldn't that be right? How it was written? Wouldn't that be the correct way to go by?
It would be worth taking a look at and see.
yeah.
Well, there's not a set number, I have a copy of it.
Well, the bid that we put up and the bid he put in, right? Cause we put a bid out there.
Right.
There's specs out there.
Yeah,
But he wrote a bid, and that's the bid we agreed, whether he said something else or not, we agreed to the bid that was presented to the board,
Right,
right? So is that
Right.
just an inversion of numbers, so if it's still the same bid then, right? I mean, common
Right.
sense here needs to prevail, the bid that he put
yeah,
out.
it is, but the problem is there's not enough in the, so I kinda think we probably have to do what you're saying, is just limit the number of.
well, off the top of my head, did it say for, or so
No,
many
it did
miles,
not.
or, okay, then,
Yeah, it can be any, it does not specify miles at all, so, and that's
in
what
our
I,
bid,
no, and that's what I told,
In the spec.
that's what I said to Chris when I was talking to him, that, he thought it was the whole town. And I said, the bid does not say the whole town, and if we end up having to use your bid, we're gonna have to limit the mileage. And he wasn't too happy about that as well.
well, I don't know what else we can
Well,
do.
I'm guessing, because you place your bid on the fact that some part you're not mowing,
Yeah.
some parts you are mowing, so you figure that into your bid, so per his mind, I think that's probably how he figured it. So I don't know, I'm leaning to the fact we put it out rebid with a maximum amount,
But I don't think
whatever
we
we budget,
can,
whatever we budget.
cause we already know his bid, and that's not fair to other people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, you treat it
Not fair to
rebid,
him,
Well, yes, I agree, it's not
yeah,
fair,
at all.
but,
well, then the only thing you do is tell him the maximum amount is available, and if he wants to do it, yes, if he doesn't, then.
well, I mean, I don't
Put it
know,
out.
I don't know, but you can't rebid
Again,
it
I
because
think,
people
I just
know the
think
bid.
that he won the bid,
Mhm.
he needs to sit with the road commissioner, and they gotta figure out what they're gonna do within the budget, I guess, right?
Well, I guess,
I had an X amount of dollars for the budget.
yeah, I guess it would come down to Scott figuring out how many miles of road and what miles he needs done. And put together a list and keep it within his budget and give that, because it doesn't say in there whether it's 1 mile of roadside mowing that we pick, or whether it's the
Is there
70.
a dollar amount? There was no dollar amount
Nope.
either.
Nope.
What was the dollar amount? Cause I remember that's what you were gonna look into,
For the budget?
yes.
This year's budget was 11.5 for the mowing and 20,000 for trees.
Okay,
And some of that can kind of go together, but if you're talking 70 miles, which I think it is, at 200 and some, it's $15,000. So, but Scott said he could come up with I told him I'd go with him and ride the town and figure out what needs to be mowed and come up with a route that's fair to Chris, so he's not, like I said, driving 3 miles down the road,
well,
5 miles, so everything's connected.
No, he
So-
won the bid.
So I think that maybe that's,
So Chris should have the option of backing out if
yes,
if he doesn't
oh yeah,
agree to the terms.
yeah, no, absolutely.
I think you should have that right.
But like I said, we'd still be within the scope of the bid
Unless they give,
by
Yeah.
giving him,
Yeah.
say, 40 miles of town road to do.
Right.
That's still within the scope of the bid, it wouldn't be,
Right.
but I agree, if he doesn't wanna do it at that, I think that, you're right. I think he should have the option to back out.
Anything else?
Oh, yeah, and the EcoMain, I'll be in touch with, a company that does the trucking and someone to look at our the compactors up there, I think they're Waste Management owned, correct? But I definitely think that's the issue with the amount of recycling we're getting. And it kind of bothers me that Waste Management didn't tell us for years that we should be getting way more than we're getting, almost 2.5 times. And we've been getting hammered with the $178 trucking fee. We could have cut that in half if they had been honest with us about the compacting rate, and that the compactors aren't in good enough shape that they can turn up the pressure enough to get us where we need to be. That when they do, they blow seals, so they've been instructed to keep it at a certain pressure. And I think I'm not happy with Waste Management with the way they handled that, and that's my personal view on that, so. That's my things.
Have they said anything about the cardboard? Waste Management?
No.
How about someone else asked me too about the aluminum.
Well, that wasn't Waste
That wasn't
Management
Waste
though.
Management.
Well, I know, has that been empty though? It was full last time they said it was full.
The metal, the
The
bins are supposed to be dropped off
yeah, the
shortly,
business,
right?
yeah, they're working on the time where they can all get together. It was supposed to be dropped off originally, I think that Friday after the original meeting. But something happened where he got backed up at the place that's doing it. And I called him and he said he was gonna get on it. You know, as soon as he can get it here, he said he's gonna get it here, so it's the best I can tell you right now.
So, and nothing for the cardboard?
Not yet on the cardboard.
Not yet? And
We'll
like
know
I
on the
said,
cardboard when we know on the EcoMain.
alright, and I haven't been up there, but like I said, that's a good idea of getting, the DEP, in on where to put a area up there for, composting yard waste, cause that's coming up with leaves and the brush and stuff like that. That's stuff we shouldn't be, like I said, it was in that list about composting rather than putting it in the compactor.
Are you asking him or are you on your individual selecting issue?
Well, he said he was all done, and I just
Okay,
figured I'd
I'm
talk
sorry,
about,
I was, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I
about
don't
the
think
transfer
we don't
station.
take yard waste in the dumpster. We're not supposed to.
No,
No, Jim taking it
But they
there
are.
now, and Jim's picking it up, or it's supposed to.
not in the dumpster.
No,
No.
not in the
There's-
dumpster.
When you get bags of
If they
leaves
bring
and
it
stuff,
up.
you don't think will let you dump it in the dumpster? Where you put it?
If you
Yeah,
don't
but
know
that's
what's
part
in
of,
the
that's
bag.
part of why I wanted to start it,
I don't know
it's
anything.
going into the dumpster.
Yeah.
They're just breaking it and putting it in bags and throwing it in the dumpster. You can't tell what's inside their bag.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really assume anything, so.
You don't have
Hopefully they'll bring us back.
Just talk to people once in a
So
while.
don't assume it's not every bag is full of
Well,
leaves.
in my opinion, if they're lazy enough to shove it in bags and throw it in the dumpster, then they're probably not gonna take it over to the compost pile. Not that that's not a good idea.
Well, you know,
But-
I do have neighbors that have small places, people on the lake.
No, I agree. I think it's a good
and
idea.
on the-
I agree. I just, yeah, no,
Don't have any
100%.
place to put their leaves.
I agree.
Well, did you now? You just have to bring it
Yeah,
in a
that's right.
separate bag.
Yeah.
And Jim will take care of him,
Well, according to them, the
for
DEP
James.
has their setbacks on that sort of thing, so maybe before we have anything going up there,
That was interesting. I thought,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if there's setbacks on,
Well, I could call them anyway for the stream crossings
I think
thing.
the setbacks are for live compost, not for stockpile, cause they'll still be bagged.
Hmm.
They can't leave me anything that's not bagged, cause I don't have an ability to pick it up.
Well, that's what I say, I actually have a friend that does can get me some really good pallets. And we had a design on those actually when Master Gardener class of how to set up. And then they could actually set them up so that the bulldozer, not the backload or whatever, could turn it if it needed to be. Okay, and we already went over that, the caregiver stores, so that's something probably we should have codes look into. As far as municipality approval. And I had a resident contact me about the CMP, no spray. They're very, wanna know where we're going with that. And be able to have some input. I was thinking maybe we could get some people together on that too. I know Ben Thompson had shown some interest in it and see, I know you know all kinds of people at CMP now, Chuck, so.
Sorry.
Maybe look, and see what other towns are doing and whatnot, and it was Becky Beal that asked me about the CMP, and if we could possibly get a copy of the original CMP contract and the no spray agreement to see maybe what they're doing now,
Yeah, I think so.
if I could get a copy of that for her and.
Well, they're not doing anything now because we're not in a contract.
Well, I know, but I mean a contract, what they have
No,
done in the
yeah,
past
right.
and what their
gotta come back to us with
expectations
numbers,
of
right?
us are.
They have to come back to us with numbers, is that right?
They already did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, we already have that.
24, 20,
Yeah.
that 24,000.
Yeah,
Probably
I didn't
in
know- I didn't know that was
papers we got,
definite.
right?
Right,
That big.
we just haven't
Yeah.
come back to them on whether or not we're going to.
And they wouldn't do it for 2 years, more years anyways, right? If
The
they-
actual cutting?
Yeah.
They didn't know when they'd be doing it, for sure.
And I was actually talking to one of the ATV club members, and they have permission to go on those trails, and depending on what they need to have done, they may even pitch into it. I don't know.
Was it Matt?
Kyle, I think it was a Kyle. I didn't he didn't have a card or anything, I didn't have anything to write his name down in, but, okay, and the other thing was, I heard you two gentlemen did a little tour of the fire station down there,
We did.
and then there was maybe we should start addressing some of the structural issues there.
There's a lot of issues need to be addressed there.
Yeah.
But yeah, not just structural.
Well, some structural issues for one, to keep it from,
Yeah, I don't think there's many structural issues. There's one spot where the floor is a little soft, but if they took the 2,000 pounds of junk that's in that kitchen out and got rid of it, then
well, maybe we could get somebody, a building inspector or to go in and look at it.
yeah, no, I think we should have code go in and look at it. But I think they should move some stuff around and clean it up before he goes in so he can actually see what's going on.
Because, I mean, we do have a building fund to, improve our public buildings, and that's a public building.
I'll be honest with you, Karina, that is true. When we did go there and, the place was pretty nasty. And it'd be awful hard for me to just say, here's a bunch of money and you can't take care of what you got. But I definitely need some work, and I did mention to the chief that I would be willing to take some money out of my own pocket to help him out. However, I was not real impressed with what we saw there.
It couldn't be inspected and it couldn't be worked on until it was cleaned. That's for sure. That's for sure.
See the chairs?
Chairs look good.
Nice, huh?
Yeah.
So,
It's weird they sit by that front door.
well, I have to get them upstairs, but they were saying they
I
were.
just remember my kids wrestling there and stuff, and just how nice it was at one time. Everybody got their EMT certifications there. What I saw there the other day was just a couple of years of total neglect.
Well, one of the things that I actually was gonna talk to you about was that I received a notification, I actually sent a copy of it over to Jack, a question from local Girl Scouts who used to have their meetings there and who are hoping to get back down there and use that building because, they're having, difficulty scheduling around the 800,000 things that use the school. So, they are looking to see if they can get back in at the fire station, but, yeah.
It's usable, it just needs to be cleaned up because it's pretty filthy.
Yeah, and I think, it's a nice space for
Yeah,
things
it's a
like
great
a scout
space.
meeting or,
Anything else?
No, I think that was about it, is, if there's issues there, I think we should address them because it is our department.
No, there's a lot of issues.
Town
Issues, and they will be addressed, I
Yeah.
agree. But I mean, that's, it's just, that's just the neglect was just astonished the heck out of me, to be honest with you. I was kind of appalled. And I'm pretty easygoing. That's it? Okay, so I'm gonna go into, go to the town, cause I know you did some stuff, and then I'm gonna go, before I do that, hold it, I just wanna make sure, cause I gotta do one executive session. So if I do the good of town, go right into executive session and that's it, right? Okay, good of town.
Okay. Hold on, I just had to write this name down before I forget it. I forgot it and I just went through my thing. So, first thing is that, I just wanna show you guys that if I'm working on a project, you don't have to call me all the time and ask me. I'm gonna come in here every Thursday and tell you what I'm doing on the project, probably to the point of ad nauseam, but I was with my family today and
I'm sorry.
I know, but I'm gonna come in, Corinna, and tell you, so just wait for Thursday night, but anyway, on the Stewart Field, I talked again actually at trains yesterday with Phil Newton, he's still willing, he's with the Fall Guys, Tree Services over there on Fall Road. He's the fellow that I told you I didn't wanna name his name until I talked to him again, but he's willing to donate the materials to, whoa. He's willing to donate the materials to fix that dugout.
Yeah.
So I really don't wanna come up with a plan, I really want somebody else to actually just tell me what you want me to do. Because that wind has been, as you know, Jeff, we've talked about it before, that wind is an issue right there for some reason and it knocks over everything. I mean, maybe if we bury it a little deeper or maybe if
Just put some posts on the back.
and I don't know, just give me a plan what you want and we'll get it done. I talked to Phil at Trains just yesterday and he's good to go, he said just let me know what you need, Deb, we're good. And several guys have offered to help with labor.
I'd like to see the field used again for sure.
Yeah.
And then when I was coaching over there for many years with Mike Chambers, we always took care of the field.
And Mike is still in charge over there too, so.
Chambers is?
Yeah, oh
He's
yeah,
a good coach.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
great coach.
very good coach.
No, he isn't.
Yes.
He's in charge of Babe Ruth.
Oh, you're in charge of Babe Ruth? No, that was John Fortin, unless it
Well,
changed.
I don't, all I'm saying is it's Mike Chambers that talks to me and asks
Oh.
me to come take pictures and asks me to put the roster for the game.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if
He
he's got
hasn't
buckets
coached.
for what.
No,
2 years,
he
3
hasn't
years?
coached for 2 years. Brian Cody has been the coach.
Oh, I don't know I don't know who the coach is, I'm just saying who gets in touch with me about coming to take pictures and about.
It's probably because he cares about the field.
I'm just saying,
He
Well,
does.
I think we all care about
No,
the
no, I'm not, I wasn't, no, of
I'm
course, but
just-
I'm saying,
don't
What?
advocate, he's the one that I've been in
Really?
contact
We're
with.
good of town.
I didn't
Mike
mean, I'm
Chambers
saying
is
that would be
behind
his involvement, he doesn't have to be in charge, I'm explaining
I-
that.
yes,
He cares
I've
about
never-
baseball and,
I understand that, and I agree with you.
yes,
on
I
that.
that's, I
haven't
wasn't,
had
that was
contact
nothing.
with-
Hold on, guys, hold on. Okay,
I
let's go.
haven't had contact
Well,
with the
I-
other coaches.
Nobody
I've
said a
only
word.
had
I'm the
I agree, it just
treasurer.
came up.
I'm the treasurer.
Oh, okay, no, all right, I didn't,
John Fortin is the president.
okay.
Whoever's the president, whoever's the coach, more power to him, it's Mike Chambers that I talk to.
I had no
That's what
idea,
I'll say,
Laura, and
okay?
it wasn't a,
No,
any other thing than explaining why Mike would probably be calling.
Right,
That's
right,
it.
I don't know who's who
Baseball
in the
seems to be his
baseball
life.
world. I just
I
do what
noticed
they
how
ask me to do.
that blew over.
Right,
And it had some cement
All the
blocks in it, are they not
goes
anchors?
over all the time.
Cement blocks?
30 years.
I don't know, I just do what they ask me to do, that's all, I just do what they ask me to do, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so what I was getting at, back then, when we were coaching Mike Chambers and myself and, all them, we were all there. The money raised to do that, we did through the Babe Ruth, and we did a lot of the work ourselves, and a lot of the stuff, I reached into my own pocket, Mike did, we put together crews. What's her name, STS. They come over.
Andy.
They came over.
Oh,
helped it.
STS, or, you said SUR to me.
No, STS.
STS. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
'cause you said
STS, I'm
SUR.
sorry, yeah, SUR, I think they did something with the Little League maybe, but, STS. But yeah, we took care, I came to the town at one time to get some
I
money.
saw you the other day at the transfer station when we were doing our thing there, and I was talking to him, and he's like, what are you talking about? I said, I don't know.
Yeah, so I came
just
to
do what they
the town,
tell me.
came to the town a couple times and, everything that was pretty much self-funded out of our pockets and what we raised for the kids and whatnot, so. But no, that's awesome, he's willing to do that and I'm all for it.
Yeah, he's right willing to step right up, and and that's for the,
But that's really gonna be up.
that's for the
Big Ruth, right?
materials. But I asked him about,
Yeah.
well, like, how can we make it better so that it's not falling over? He said, Deb, I'm not a design guy. I told you I'd give you the materials, find somebody else to do the design. So, you know, I'm gonna leave that kind of at your door, Jeff, because you know about that stuff,
Okay.
but yeah, get me a design, I got guys ready to work, and I got Phil's ready to donate the materials, whatever you need, so.
Awesome.
Okay, so
Okay.
now I'd like to say something, which I emailed all of you, I believe you all were in the email, that we do plan on replacing the sign, the George Stewart sign. Babe Ruth does have money to do that, and we are gonna replace the sign, obviously. This current year, this past year, we did not have enough kids, so, we didn't have a team this year. But we had had a team up until this year, and, people volunteered, like every fall, I think it was every fall, and they would, rototill the lines and, the base lines and the outfield, and, I mean, the, you know, base pass and all that stuff. So we just, you know, and we did it all ourselves, as you know. I mean, you know, in 1989, the town purchased Stewart's Field with a grant, a recreational grant, from the Maine Rec Department. It was a matching thing, that happened, so we did purchase that. And there's been a lot of volunteers who have put their own money in. The wood fence went up because of, you know, someone paid for that themselves and put all that up. And I won't say their names because they'll probably kill me. But I just want you to know, there's a lot of people that care about that, and it really upset us that we didn't have a team this year. And we hope to have a team again, but some softball teams were using it, I believe, soccer is using it, or they asked to use it, so I assume they are. So, but all the buildings and everything, you know, was done, Babe Ruth did that, so, and I know maybe they don't look the greatest, but.
No, I think it's important.
The Cub Scouts,
to care
the
about
Cub Scouts, I think it was the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, it was Debbie Chase anyway. Her group, they did the little concession stand and they gave it to us, so, we hope to.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to think that I said, I always stepped in because
Oh, no,
people
I
asked me to get donations to fix that. I'm not, that field looks fantastic all the time, and I think it's Chris that actually does the mowing of.
Well, the town, the last 2 years it's been on the town mowing, because obviously we
Right,
couldn't mow
but
it
I think
ourselves
it's
anymore.
Chris that actually does that, and it
Well, he has
always
that
looks
mowing bid,
fantastic out
yes.
there, so,
So,
you know, I mean, I'm not saying that, but when we mentioned it, it kinda came back to me like
No, I think that's
go
great.
ahead, Deb,
Especially if he's
get
gonna donate the
donations to do
equipment.
it,
Well,
Yeah.
and there you go.
and two, I
I'm
think
ready to rock
there's,
and roll.
I don't know if you agree, Laura, but there's plenty of room there to put off-road parking.
I don't think there is.
I don't know, because there's something to do with that grant money, because I remember we were supposed to have, I think, handicap parking or something. There was
Yeah.
something, because they sent us a letter, I
Yeah.
remember that, they sent the town a letter, so I don't know, but, you know, a lot of people put a lot of time and effort to, you know, do that, and they didn't have a lot of people, and, you know, it's a smaller team, but we, you know, all the organizations in town support themselves. Little League, the
Right.
Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, wrestling, soccer, they all do it by.
I just think honestly, cause I mean, you know, my kids are grown, you know, Mike's kids are grown, yours, we all did it. I'd like to see some of the younger parents step up their game. You know, I get life is busy, we're all busy, different, you know, everything's relevant, but, you know, you can't, you know, take the mothballs and dust us off, us old coaches, because we wouldn't be politically correct.
6 years, they were the.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Champions.
long before that, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
yes, long before that
yeah,
too.
well, I mean, I
Always-
think they skipped a couple of years, but I'm saying 6 years in a row.
Oh, yeah, won the
They were.
championship.
Yeah, so I mean, those coaches had those kids right on point, those boys were playing some good ball. I used
Sure
to
were.
love to go
Absolutely.
and, you know, I used to love to go watch them, so.
Chicken or the egg, the
you know,
talent is
I don't
coaching.
mind, I don't mind helping
I
and
was good
put
for
out
4
to
of
me
them.
that you needed it. So, I wasn't saying nobody was doing a good job, or I wasn't saying any of that, I got asked to give
No, that was said to
donation.
me, but that
There
was
you go.
neither here nor there, that was
Yeah.
said to me, but that, you know, I mean, not knowing that I put a bunch of my own money into that field a lot of time, and I coached kids and I bought a lot of equipment, I gotta tell
Yeah,
you.
I don't know,
I gotta tell you, it bothered me when it was said to me, I didn't understand why it would have been said to me,
right,
but, I mean, it was said to me, but that's okay. I mean, they don't know what I did on my own, plus many other
That's
people I
right.
know that did.
that's right.
But I think
And
it's
all
awesome.
I know is they said, you know what I heard, because I read you what I heard, you know, and he said it's a disgrace to have it laid down or whatever, why don't, and so I said.
Well, we planned on picking it up, we
And I
did.
said, well, I mean, it's been laying down for a long time, so
Yeah.
people were concerned about it,
Yeah.
Lauren, they said something to me, and I said, okay, when I get donations, it's not to pick on you, or to pick on anyone.
No, I think it's great that
It's
they
not
want
on
to
me,
do it.
it's the other
They
people.
want it, you know,
Yeah,
and
no, I think
so-
that's great.
Well, I just noticed it was
I mean, I
on-
can call Phil and tell him,
On the list
just
of
wait
town
and let
projects.
them go do it, I
No,
don't care.
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, I just want
Just
credit to the people that started it all those years ago and worked hard and, you know, it's just, you know,
Well, we weren't discrediting anybody,
Right,
it
we're
just,
just saying
it,
now
it,
it
it's
needs
now, it
attention.
just needs some attention, if you aren't, is involved, it's a town-owned property, maybe we should pick up the slack. And then
Right.
Deborah said there's people that volunteer, so let's,
that's fine, I just want
What else is good for the
everyone-
town?
yeah.
That's awesome. What else is good for
I'm
the
gonna
town?
throw up now in my mouth, okay, just saying.
win police.
Okay, so I just wanna thank everybody that came out for the American Legion voluntary toll booth on Saturday.
Which is awesome, yeah.
Yes, it was. The weather was kind of you know, but we had a lot of fun. It was myself and Becky Beal and Sandy Cray was out there and Crystal come out for a little while and we had a really good time and another successful day. We were very thankful for, and to the people that brought me buckets of change, I'll just say, you know, you're increasing my muscle ability.
There you go.
Those buckets were heavy. Anyway, the next meeting of the American Legion Auxiliary will be September 28th, 9 o'clock in the morning in the back room at the Hen House. We're encouraging all people that have military connections in town to come on out. We're getting ready for our big installation in November. We'd like to have you come and join us. We have a lot of fundraisers and stuff to help our veterans and to help with the old town hall coming up. The membership's $25 a year if you're a grandmother, mother, sister, spouse, direct or adopted female descendant of men and women who were in the armed forces. And those women who of their own right are eligible for membership in the American Legion are all eligible. From what I understand also, they're actually voting this week to allow males into the American Legion Auxiliary, so we should have word on that. At least we can't call it the Ladies Auxiliary anymore, Jeff. But we really encourage people, and we'd love to have you all come and join us. We have a lot of great plans, and we hope people will come. $25 a year and you'd be a member
I
of the
love
Legion.
that. Anything Legion's great.
Yeah, it is, and we're having a lot of fun putting that together here in town. I also wanna give 2 thumbs up to the Animal Control Officer, Mary Kenny. There was a dog missing in Springvale 8 days, they were having trouble catching it. Mary went on her own time and helped, and Holly was home the next morning. So I think he saw Mary coming and said, I'm heading on home.
Perfect.
But yeah, she went up on her own time and helped, and that's the thing that good towns do for their neighbors.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I wanted to give her 2 thumbs up. And yeah, last thing that I wanna talk to you about is that stream crossing grant. Cause we're gonna need some technical help if we're gonna do that. The applications actually came out on Friday. And we're gonna need some help from the Conservation Commission and probably from the Road Commissioner, because those stream crossings go across our, go underneath our roadways. And especially the one that we're really tight looking at is Upper Guinea Road down there. So we're gonna need his expertise, and we're gonna need the Conservation Commission to help us with some few things, and we hope that they'll give us their support, cause it's a $95,000 grant, so we're
Up
hoping.
to,
Yeah, well, for each one, and you can apply for multiple, but I think, we talked about looking at 3 different crossings, but I think just this one, I think, is a good place to start, because the information they're asking for is so technical, you know, like you have to go 30 feet, you have to go 35 feet, and it's measurements, and I think because we don't have that expertise with that, you know, we've never done a grant for that, so I think I'd like to personally focus on that one. If Karina wants to focus on another one, fine, but I hope you'll ask the road commissioner to give us a little bit of help on that, cause we'll really have to figure out the length and the width, all that good stuff, so.
Well, at that workshop, they said that the inland wildland and fishery could help you a lot with that.
Yeah, but we can't touch a road in Lebanon without the road commissioner's approval, so that's gotta come first, you know, he's gotta tell us what he wants there, and we have to kind of talk to him about that, cause we can't just go to DEP or Inland Fish and Wildlife and talk to them about our road, because it's not their road,
Well, I think they make
it's actually
suggestions,
Scotty's road.
but they make suggestions, I believe, at how.
I just don't wanna do it without Scott.
Really, a little bit, well, I'm good for town, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, that was all I was asking for, is if you just give them a directive that we're gonna be asking.
Reach out to him, yeah.
about that. I appreciate it, and that's all I got.
Alright, James,
One very quick one, a
Yep.
couple of folks have asked me to suggest to the selectmen on future ballots, if it's possible to get an estimated cost per household on warrant articles. They would like to see that. I don't know if there's a way to do that, but I promise I passed the message. Message passed.
alright, cool.
That would be based on their, on
On
your
the mill.
assessment, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
But just a ballpark number so people have some idea of what the individual items are gonna cost them.
Yeah, I guess if you.
I don't know.
Mr. Cool, anything good for the town? Alright, well then I'm gonna go into a public, I'm sorry.
A public
Executive?
Oh, wow, an executive session.
Are you gonna adjourn now?
I'll be real quick in executive session, who's got the sheet?
That's what they're asking.
I don't know, but you can borrow mine if you'd like.
Nope, we should have one right here.
Where it is?
Well, where's the whole trip?
Where's the whole tray?
I don't know, you can borrow mine.
It's underneath, is it underneath her book?
Oh, she moved it for the,
Well,
Thank you, guys.
yes, thank you,
I
have a good
appreciate
day.
it,
Thank you
don't
for
forget
your
to
time.
turn up the video
Oh,
going
yeah,
to exactly.
yeah.
Well, read the thing first.
Alright, I'm gonna make a motion, we go into executive session for personnel matters, on the one MRSA 4056A. Any seconds?
I'll second it.
Alright.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, discussion, good, all in favor?
Alright.
Can I just run to the bathroom?
I'm going to.
Shut that off, I gotta hit the head too, and then we'll get into it.
Oh,
I'll be
please.
real quick, guys, I promise.
Better be